Peace, peace, peace. I'm late, but oh well, I'm here. I am here, peeps. The topic is obviously quite obvious, as you guys can see. Atheism must die. It has to die. It's completely useless, inconsistent, irrational. It's just not worthy. It's just not worthy of a position in any way, shape, or form. So atheism must die. Especially that channel. There's a new channel these days of fellow Somalis who are completely angry and frustrated with their previous beliefs, shall we say. But for some odd reason, and I see this with a lot of atheists, they think because they found problems or a problem with the particular religion that they were born into, they somehow come to the conclusion that, oops, atheism is legitimate. Because the religion I was born into was wrong, therefore, atheism is the answer. It's retarded. Absolutely retarded. Like, people can't even make a difference between, you know, not believing in a certain religion and somehow concluding that there is no creator or no need for a creator. How the hell do you do that? Oh, Ultra is in the building. Ultra, what's happening, man? Ultra, I'm going to send you the link because we need to have a chat, my friend. You are deluded. You are absolutely deluded, Ultra. Let me tell you why you're deluded. Because as an atheist, you're claiming to be on the fence. You're claiming to basically, you're claiming to be on the fence. You're claiming that both possibilities, i.e., whether there is a creator or no creator, is equally possible. To claim that they are equally possible, you would have to give us why no creator is possible. You can't do that to save your life. More than most atheists. I've made no. Ultra, you have made the claim. As an atheist, you don't have a position whether there is a creator or whether there isn't a creator. You don't have a position. To not have a position in such in between those two choices assumes that they are both equally likely. If they are not both equally likely, you would have to give me a scenario, any other topic where you have option A and B. Option A is way more likely, like it has every reason for you to assume that it's likely, and option B doesn't even have one reason. Like there's not even one. There's not even the slightest of possibility that you can provide of a universe from nothing, like or whatever theory that you want to come up with. You can't do it. So why are you treating both A and B as though they are equally likely? Ultra, it's game over. I'm tired of all of the stuff that you guys have been getting away with. When you say I have not been convinced by any of the arguments I have been presented, again, that is a lie. What you're trying to do is you're trying to basically relinquish responsibility for you to then tell the individual who you are asking for evidence. You need to. Good question, Cyrus. We'll discuss that in a second. Let me quickly deal with Ultra. When you guys ask for evidence, you have to tell the individual what you accept as evidence. You will never provide any kind of format that one can use to bring you an evidence. You will never provide that. So you saying I have not been convinced by any arguments, it's an absolute lie. You haven't listened to any arguments, because as far as you're concerned, huh? I'll tell you how it's a lie, Ultra. I can ask you right now, what do you accept as evidence? Watch the dance. Watch the dance. Go ahead. Tell me, what do you accept as evidence? Furthermore, let me throw both of you the invite, because we need to have this conversation. You can't just keep saying, oh, you people that believe in God, prove it to me, prove it to me, prove it to me, and just staying on the fence. Enough of that nonsense. Go ahead, Ultra. The link is there, and I've asked you a question. What do you accept as evidence? What do you accept as evidence? Go ahead. Think of one. You know, anything that is demonstrable, testable, that we can make accurate predictions. See? Do you know how stupid that question is, Ultra? When you say anything that is demonstrable, testable, and can make accurate predictions, what do you want to do? Do you want to see God? What do you mean by demonstrate? Are you talking about empirical evidence? Do you want to see God? Is that what you're assuming? Cyrus, I will answer your question. Your question is a really good question, but give me a second. I just want to show Ultra that his epistemology is non-existent, absolutely non-existent. No, Ultra, we're not going anywhere until you tell me. When you say anything that is demonstrable, are you basically saying that you want empirical evidence? You want to be able to see God himself. You want to be able to test God himself, and you want to make accurate predictions of this God. Is that what you want to do? So this God is like a physical thing. Is that what it is? Is that what it is, Ultra? Ultra, this, seriously, I'm starting to think, you know what? Answer the question, Ultra. What do you accept as evidence? Because clearly the question you asked is impossible. Not only is it impossible, it's assuming God is physical. Because if he's not physical, how are you gonna and again, sidestepped. That is not, mate. The link is there, Ultra. The link is there. There's nothing. Sidestep what? Don't make me read all your questions. Hey, there's only one question that you've asked. There's two statements you said. I have not been convinced by any of the arguments, which is BS. And then the second thing you said is anything that is demonstrable, which implies that you can see God. Of course you're at work. Of course you're at work. Even when you come back, Ultra, you will never, ever, ever provide. You will never provide any form of format for your question. Never. So we'll wait for you to come back. Cyrus said, can we demonstrate God is all of the things he allegedly claims to be? Great question. Before I deal with that one, I'm going to deal with your the earlier question that you asked. You said, why do we assume that the universe basically started or came into existence? Because the alternative is that the universe, which is merely a collection of things, is infinite. Which again, I don't have a problem. Putting it to the test. But the question is, we know most things in this universe is not infinite. So what exactly can you identify in this universe that is necessarily infinite? And I say necessarily infinite because if it's not necessarily infinite, what right do you have to assume that it is infinite? Like on what grounds do you, there's more than that. So one, you need to have grounds to assume anything in this universe is infinite. I don't know how you would be able to do that. And two, you would whatever you identify or claim can or must be infinite, you then have to demonstrate how everything else comes from that infinite thing, because everything else is finite. So everything else that's finite must come from that infinite thing. You would have to explain how that is possible. You would have to explain how that is possible. You would have to A, provide something that is necessarily infinite in this universe, and then B, you would have to demonstrate how from that thing we have everything else that's finite. Because everything else that's finite can only be answered for by the use of this infinite thing, unless there is any other way. Unless there is any other way, please tell me. What within the universe? Nothing is finite but form. Okay, no problem. That is a statement that needs to be substantiated. You are now claiming that everything in this universe is infinite, but just changes form. How would you demonstrate that, sir? How would you do it? By the way, you're going against conventional science right now, because science claims that the universe began. But this is what people have to do to deny God. There's zero way out. Please try me today. All these wonderful speeches of, energy is infinite, but it just changes form. All these wonderful speeches. We're going to get to the bottom of it today. All this sophistry. The link is there, people. Jump on. Life itself is finite. Of course, Ahmed, I need you to jump on, bro. I need your assistance, my dude. Jump on. Because I don't know, we somehow got to a state in this world where atheists are walking around ridiculing people, when they have the most ridiculous stance. They legit have the most inconsistent, ridiculous stance, and they're walking around ridiculing other people. Like, how did we get here? How did we get here? I'm going to create a new word today. I'm going to create a new word. Like, atheists claim that, they're unsure when it comes to creator. I'm going to prove today that they are anti-religion. They confuse anti-religion with, oh, maybe there is no creator. I'll prove that today. That energy can neither be created nor destroyed in a closed system, Cyrus. In a closed system, Cyrus. So the question now is the universe a closed system or not? Yeah, no problem, bro. Is the universe a closed system or not? And what part of the universe? Because right now, when you say energy can neither be created nor destroyed, that again assumes that the universe is infinite. So without a universe, there is no energy to speak of. So what part of this universe is infinite, my friend? Okay, there are numerous models which are just Big Bang followed by a big crunch. No problem. What started the Big Bang? You don't get to just move on from that and then just build an entire narrative afterwards. What is the Big Bang? What is the Big Bang itself? What caused the Big Bang? Or are we saying that the Big Bang was an effect without a cause? Are we claiming that the Big Bang is an effect without a cause? And what is the Big Bang? And what was there before the Big Bang? And then after that, you have to also answer for how did you go from something infinite to finite without the will to bring that finite into existence? From infinite to the temporal, that action needs to be answered for. Word, I agree with you, bro. I agree with you. But the thing is, atheists in this day and age have become so popular, so proud. It's a joke. Like, it has to be shown how inconsistent their claims are. There's nothing consistent about atheism. That you can't even saying atheism is wrong, because that's assuming that a creator creating the universe, or the universe come into existence, just pop into existence. By the way, nowadays they have a new word for something popping into existence. They call it emergent. The why so religious guy, he's coming. He claimed he's gonna come tomorrow. Blah blah blah. But I'm waiting for him. Cyrus, I know you're not an atheist, my bro. Well, I hope you're not an atheist. But atheism has to die. It has to die. It's a stupid claim. Yes, Ultra.
My God.
My brother.
My God.
What's happening, B?
I'm not gonna lie, you might be my second favorite Somali on the planet. Second favorite.
All right, cool. I'll have I'll deliberate on what that means, and then I'll get back to you. But
Yeah,
listen,
no, because there's only one Somali that I rate more than the Maverick. Yeah, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah, so atheism's gonna die today. I'm not gonna
yes.
lie to you. I've debated you in the park many times on it, and
Well, you know,
I don't
since
mind
then.
doing it one more time. But bear in mind, I've got to depart in 5 minutes.
Sorry.
I got to depart in five. Oh, hold on. Let me put my
Oh,
phone
you
on.
gotta leave in 5.
Yeah, hold on.
All right, cool.
I got to leave in 5 minutes.
Well, since you've got such a short time,
Uh-huh.
I'll leave it very simple for you.
Yeah.
Did the universe begin or not, sir?
I don't know.
No, I don't know is not acceptable.
I don't care what you feel is acceptable. I'm giving you the answer that is intellectually honest.
No. I'm not okay. When I say it's not acceptable, it had nothing to do with my personal feelings. I'm telling you. I'm telling
So
you
wait,
intellectually.
unacceptable by what standard then?
But it's a lie. Let me tell you why it's a lie.
What?
Because okay, let me tell you why it's a lie.
Okay.
If you was to ask me today,
Yeah.
do you exist or not, and I was to say to you, I don't know, is that feasible?
Well, you could tell me that, but we'd be able to demonstrate that we do exist.
Oh, so that would mean factually
Yeah,
speaking,
so that
I'm talking
means
shit.
human beings are fallible and we get shit wrong from time to time.
No, okay, but the point I'm making is what I'm saying is completely wrong. If I was to say to you whether I exist or not, I don't know. That's there's no sense to that, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense to anyone with a functioning brain.
Okay, what you are doing is exactly the same. Let me
No,
tell
it
you
is
why.
not. That's a
Let me tell
false
you why it's
equivalent.
exact. Let me tell
False
you why it's
equivalent,
exactly
Ahmed.
the same.
All right, go on.
Let me tell you why it's exactly the same. Because assuming that whether the universe began or not
Yeah.
is equally possible is literally the same as assuming that whether you exist or not is equally
No, it's
possible.
not.
Let me tell you why.
Ahmed,
Let me tell you why.
bro, we gotta keep it
Because
quick.
you
'Cause I
began
gotta
to
duck.
exist, right?
No, wait, Ahmed. Before I forget, the reason why it ain't the same is because you've asked me for knowledge that I may or may not have. I don't have the knowledge to answer the question about the universe. Asking me, do you exist? We can demonstrate that you do quite easily. That's within my capacity. I can do that. Ahmed, I've been in your presence. Ahmed, I have touched you. Ahmed, I have debated you. Ahmed, I'm talking to you right now. It's a
Okay.
completely
All right.
yeah.
Okay, let me demonstrate it for you. Did you come into existence?
Yes, sir.
You had a beginning, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you ever come across anything in this universe
Yeah.
that may be necessarily infinite?
Well, I've heard people have this debate, people that are a lot smarter than I am. They're having a debate as we speak on it. But that's way above my pay grade. Remember, I'm a first year university dropout and I drive a bus. So you just need to let certain things sink in. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing. Now, if
Uh-huh.
you're telling me, so what you're saying to me sounds like you're saying that you might come across in the future
No,
something
I am not
something
making that
that may
claim.
be infinite. Is that, or have you already come across something that may be infinite?
Um, no, not that I know of.
Okay, so as far as you know, in this day and age, you've
Yeah.
never come across anything infinite.
Um, no, I haven't.
So why are you entertaining the possibility? Do you have faith that you might do?
What do you mean? Faith about what?
About the faith that you might come across something infinite. Why are you entertaining the possibility of something A, you've never come across, and B, can you even fathom something infinite?
Yeah, of course I can. Because I'll give you an example. The time in which the Quran was being written, if you took an iPhone, like back in time, and showed it to them, they would burn you as a fucking witch, right? That was, for them, an iPhone would be fucking insane, superior magic sent directly from Iblis, right?
With the word
And then,
infinite
but this is the
means,
thing, then we don't know what the future may hold. I'm not going to say something ridiculous like, we're going to find out that human beings are like can transmutate into potatoes or anything ridiculous like that.
why is that ridiculous?
Because we know we've already cracked human biology, bro, and human
Okay.
reproduction.
So have we not cracked physics and biology
No,
and chemistry? Huh?
no. If we
Okay.
crack, no,
Have
bro.
we
If we
have
crack,
we have we listen,
if
hold
we
on, hold
crack,
on. Have we come to
oh
the
shit,
conclusion?
Ahmed,
Wait,
let's
wait,
go. Fuck. Wait.
go on.
65, 58. Fuck, Ahmed, listen, give me 10 minutes. Give me
Huh?
10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes, 10 minutes.
No problem, no problem. No problemos. Come on the chat, peeps. Stop being scared, man. I want to address what he said though, because he basically tried to equate a technology with something being infinite. There is no there is absolutely no relation, no similarity of any kind between something being infinite and a technology that happens to be uh, more advanced than a particular society is used to. The analogy is ridiculous. There's no there is no relation of any kind. And another thing that I want you guys to notice there is he had faith in something A he's never come across. B doesn't have the slightest reason to think that he will ever come across it either. There's nothing in his past that made him think, you know what, I might come across an object in the future that is infinite. He doesn't have any basis for that thought. However, he's willing to have faith. He's willing to have faith. Pi is infinite. A circle is infinite. We're playing games now, bro. We're playing games. You can measure an infinite. The definition of infinite is literally immeasurable. Anything that you can measure is not infinite. Especially nowadays, that they're even calling, they're trying to come up with these ideas of multiverses. Listen to the word multiverses. That means there is a number on these universes. Call it as you can say it's ridiculous amount of universes, but there is still a number, and they're using the word infinite because they know they cannot escape that. Something has to be infinite. Therefore, what they've done now is they're trying to apply the word infinite to just many things. But the word infinite literally means immeasurable. So it has nothing to do. Pi is literally endless. Infinite means immeasurable, period. If that means immeasurable in any sense. In any sense, you cannot measure it. That's what infinite means. Yes, the number is all the possible universes. Yes, Iris, but the word infinite does not apply to that. They're using that word to play with people. Infinite by definition means immeasurable. When you start to say stuff like infinite multiverses, then I can simply put it to you. If I was to cut those multiverses in half, how many universes are left? You would still say infinite, which proves that you just basically abuse the word. You cannot measure the number of universes in the multiverse. Brother, Cyrus, you're saying more than one. One is a number. The word more is also numerical. So you can say it's too much for me to count, but there's still a number on it. I mean, multi by definition involves numbers. And anything that involves numbers is not infinite, because infinite by definition cannot be measured. This is the level people have to go to basically avoid the obvious. You have to change definitions of words. You have to have faith in ideas that you have no basis to have faith in. Like Ultra has faith that in the future there will be something found in this universe that is infinite. How is that not faith? How is that not faith? Like, on what ground do you have to think for a second that you're gonna come across something in the universe that's infinite? Why? Why even? Because to believe in something, you need to have a reason. I dare you to give me a single reason for that. How did we get to a stage where atheists are the loudest, bro? The link is there, people. Jump on. The universe itself is infinite. Otherwise, you could tell me how big it is. They do, Cyrus. That's why they've come up with the black hole. They literally tell you how big it is because they tell you how far we can go. Otherwise, and they tell you it's expanding. They do, Cyrus. That's why they've come up with the black. Yes, Ahmed.
Yes, peace.
Hi, brother. What are you telling me, bro?
What's happening?
How are you?
Doing? All right. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, bro. Ahmed, this has to be done, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
This has to be done. That's the boundary of the visible universe. All right. One more. How do you know that there is anything more than the visible universe, Cyrus? How do you know that?
It's all invisible, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, Ahmed. Notice that he's actually displaying faith now. You know that, right? Ahmed.
Well, it's the universe, because
When he says the visible universe, he's got faith in other than the visible universe now.
Yeah. But also the fact that what someone else has told about a visible universe, unless he's an astronomer and he's had a
But
look and measured.
look at what he's acknowledging there. He says the universe is expanding faster than the speed of light. The very fact is it's expanding removes the idea that it's infinite.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It always gets like this. You know when you have conversations about, this type of topic, yeah, somehow science gets thrown out of the window.
Yeah.
I don't
And
get it.
the assumption is that science has an answer as well.
Yes, which is what Thingy was assuming earlier on. Ultra.
Faith in science. You've got faith in science.
Serious faith in science.
Yeah.
Bro, you know what the funny thing is, yeah? I've seen a lot of atheists. They have faith in what they think will be discovered in the future. The question now is really and truly who has faith, them or us? Because our beliefs are based on reason. They can't provide any reason for theirs. You give me, play the devil's advocate. You give me the slightest reason for me to assume that the universe or something in this universe is infinite. Give me the slightest reason for that. Or it could be found in the future that it's infinite. I dare you. I want a reason to assume that or to even entertain that.
I don't know. I think the closest answer was from before earlier, where it talks about energy. Now, I don't know if you've spoke about that.
We did. We said
Yeah.
energy doesn't get created or destroyed in a closed system. So we can't have this conversation about energy without the universe. So the question is has the universe began or not? And if it hasn't began, if you claim that the universe has not began, you should be able to identify what is infinite in this universe. And then on top of that, Ahmed, the other question that people ignore is from the infinite to the finite, there needs to be an answer for that action. And really, really and truly, you can only get from the infinite to the finite if there's a will. Because other than that, you'll fall into the infinite regress.
Yeah, and the cause has to be the infinite.
Huh?
The cause has to begin with the infinite. The finite
Exactly.
can't cause the infinite.
Ultra is back. I'm going to show you how inconsistent atheists
Yo,
are.
okay. Can you hear me? Ahmed?
That ain't even Ultra.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but
Being
you
like
sound like another
ultra.
dude.
Wait, am I clear? I don't know if I'm clear. I've got no
Okay,
signal.
now I can see it's Ultra, but you sound like you're far.
No, do you know what it is? Because I've got no signal at the moment. I'm in fucking
In the ghetto. Nah, don't
Goose
worry.
Green.
Go for it.
Yeah. So just to circle back to your initial thing, yeah. Like atheists are deluded, rare. I don't rely. I
You're breaking up, bro.
try not to put faith in anything. The only thing I really like outwardly,
You
Hello?
were breaking up a little bit, but go on.
Yeah. The only thing I really put faith in is my wife. Yeah. Yeah.
Trying
I
to
put
trigger
faith in
me.
her. But yeah, because I know how you feel.
You know my triggers, don't
Yeah.
you?
No. Yo, fucking hell. So basically, yeah, like my atheism isn't contingent on evolution or science. No. My specific personal atheism is a response to the God claim that every theist on the planet is making. I'm just saying, I don't believe you. Nothing that you have said to me has convinced me that what you believe in is actually true. That's what my atheism is predicated on. Oh shit!
Okay.
Oh man, hold on 1 second.
Right.
I have to move
Can
the
I,
bus. Keep talking. I can hear you, but I
yeah,
have to put you on mute
yeah.
for like 3 seconds.
No
Can I
problem.
add something to what he just said?
Yeah, go for it. He's listening.
Because I don't think anyone can convince me without me engaging my intellect. So
This is
I
why
would
I
have
needed you,
to,
Ahmed, man. I love your thoughts, bro. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Go on, continue.
yeah, so I would have to take what someone else has got on board and then try and find other options and then use my intellect to go over and decide what I feel is the most likely outcome. I don't feel like I want to be spoon-fed anything as to claim knowledge on something by being spoon-fed it.
I'm glad that you said that because that is precisely what I was gonna say. This argument of
Behave yourself, man.
no, let me tell you why. Let me tell you why.
That's
No,
Let me tell you why.
that's a non, that, I hear you. Don't get me wrong. That is
No, hey, let me
actually
give me
a
a second.
yeah,
it's a valid
Give me a second. Let me
argument,
add mine.
but that doesn't apply. That doesn't apply to me. The type of person I am personally is, if I'm gonna look into something, it has to pique my interest right off the bat. Right? I need, like, for instance, if I was gonna learn Islam off anybody, it would be either my brother, the Orthodox Moor, or Somali Ahmed, because the type of Islam them man are talking about.
yeah, but we're not
It,
talking about
that's
religion.
the
We're
type.
talking about
No. But wait, listen.
theology.
This is the point, because we're talking about theology and atheism. So it is. What I'm saying is
Religion isn't
nothing,
theology.
nothing that I've heard thus far has convinced me that any theist is standing on something concrete. Nothing.
All
Now,
right, good. All right.
yeah. Now,
All
now,
right.
now, when you say, oh, you guys have faith in science, right? I understand the argument, but it's flawed, and I'll tell you why. Would you rather build an aeroplane? Sorry, would you rather be in an aeroplane where you have to pray that it fucking lifts off and stays in the sky, or one that's
You
science?
can't use that analogy.
Of course I can't. Tell me
No,
why
you
now.
can't. Let me tell you
No,
why.
of
Because
course,
we're not
of
talking
course not.
about
That's
science
fine.
of today.
Anything that I'm saying, it can't be used. I hear
No,
you, Ahmed. I
no,
do.
but ultra. There's rules to logic, my brother.
Eh-heh.
The reason you can't use that analogy is because
Yeah,
we have no problem with science of today. Anything
yeah,
that we have reasons to assume that we can apply our science to and etc. We don't have a
yes,
problem with that. But you
yeah,
have faith in
yeah.
eventually discovering in the future something infinite,
No, I never said
which
anything
is
like
oh,
that.
please one
I
second, one
never
second.
said anything like that.
No,
No,
but
Ahmed,
that's what we were
that's
talking
not
about. We were
true.
talking about something
Yeah, but
infinite.
Ahmed, that's not
Yeah.
true. That's not how I feel. I
I,
said it's possible, and then I gave you the example of a complex handheld computer
Right.
being taken, like, back in the day when the Quran or the Bible was being written. Like,
and
the reason, but wait. The reason why I used that analogy is just because at that time, having an iPhone or a Samsung S21 Ultra 5G would they would have never thought anything like that was even remotely possible.
I
I'm
think
saying
you got us on the
in the
wrong angle.
huh?
you're coming from a
I think you're
completely
coming from a
different.
different angle because you think we're talking about the religion is going to give you the a
No,
conclusion, but we're
no,
not saying that. We're saying that intellect, through your intellect, it's
yeah,
logical to come to the
yeah,
conclusion
yeah,
that there is a creator.
yeah.
And
Okay,
That's what
so
we're
furthermore, let me
hold
help
saying.
on.
you on
Let me
that.
play.
Religion aside,
Let me. For the
No,
sake of
Ultra,
argument,
give me
let's
one
accelerate.
second. Let me get
No, wait,
one word. Let me get
Hold
one.
on, because I've got to go, Ahmed. I've got to
Go
go.
for it. Go for it.
Just for the sake of argument, let's accelerate the point you just made. So there's a creator who started everything. Okay, are you then gonna go even further and say this God gets jealous? This God wants you to pray this specific way.
That's a
This God
separate
doesn't
argument,
want you
Ultra.
to eat this thing and this. Bro, this is what I'm saying.
that's
When
what
you
you.
say to
That's
me,
what
That's
you
a
when you
come
say
separate
to
to
me,
argument,
after.
Ultra.
when,
That's what you
I
come
hear
to
you, bro,
after.
but I accelerated the argument. because I
No,
understood.
but
Let's accelerate the answer.
Oh my
Let's
God.
accelerate the
Arguments are
answer.
different.
Can I offer an accelerated answer?
But
Yes,
before
please.
you do, Ahmed, before you do, please let me just lay the law down, if you will. The point is, it's one thing to discuss the claims. It's one thing to discuss the claims of certain religions, and it's one thing to say that you are agnostic, if you like, when it comes to certain religions. I don't have that's one argument. But right
Yeah.
now, what we are discussing is the
Mm.
necessity of two particular attributes, of which without you cannot have this universe. One of them being infinite, and the other one being a will. What I'm trying to see is
Yeah.
what is the other possibility that you
Mm.
entertain that will basically eliminate the need for those two. That's the
To
point
be
here. We're
honest,
not talking
Ahmed,
about religion.
remember when I was at the stand, I said to you, I don't know. If there's an answer that I do not have the capacity to answer, I'm going to be intellectually honest and tell you I don't know.
All right, I
However,
don't know.
there are wait. Oh, okay,
Can I?
go.
Sorry, not to interrupt you, but I really need to get. I really need to get rid of this word. I don't know, because you guys have been getting. You've been getting away with it for too long. No one has ever. No, no. Let me tell you why. Let me
You're
tell you
so
why.
funny.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why.
Go,
Because
talk to me.
it's basically it's a smoke screen. Let me tell you why. Yeah. Because
What?
let me tell you why. Let me tell you why.
Oh
Because
my
we
God.
are not claiming that we know. The conversations that we are having has nothing
Yeah.
to do with
Mm.
knowing something. So you
Okay.
can remove this answer of I don't know, because no one's asked you whether you know or
You
don't.
literally did.
No,
You
no, no, no,
literally
no, no,
said
no.
we're
No, come
deluded
on,
because
Ultra,
we
bro.
have faith
Come
in
on,
X,
Ultra. 1 second,
and
please.
I'm
Let me land.
saying no.
Let me land, Ultra. Ultra, let me
Okay,
land.
go on. Yeah.
We're not
Wait.
talking about
Hold on.
knowing
Hold on.
things.
Wait.
We're talking about
Hold
likelihood.
on.
Right.
Okay, you got 1 minute. 1 minute. I got to go in 1 minute. I got to go 1
Oh,
minute.
cool. Likelihood and think is what we're talking about, not about
Yes.
knowing. We think it is way more likely for there to be a creator than not.
All right.
For you to
I reject that premise. I reject your premise right off the bat. For you to
okay, go
set
for it.
the parameters on how I can answer a question is an absolute nonsense. It's a home team advantage, and I don't play that. If you
But you're
ask me a
answering the question
question,
that you're
wait,
not asked.
hold on, bro. If you ask me a question that I do not know the answer to, what do you want me to tell you?
But I didn't ask you if you know. So how can
No,
you
but
how can
Ahmed,
you
Well,
respond with?
come on,
well,
brother. But this is what we're talking about. You're saying atheists are deluded and and we have. I'm saying no. My atheism, personally, I ain't speaking for atheists. All other atheists are all other atheists. It's like me saying to you, as a Quranist, nah, all Muslims follow Hadith. It's a nonsense. You can't do that, Ahmed. It's
The analogy
disingenuous.
is not working,
Don't do
bro.
it. It don't
right.
do it.
All right.
Okay, all
Well,
right.
well, just a,
All Muslims follow the same Hadith. That's it. Bam.
well,
And that's
just
it.
a quick answer to your question earlier. You said something like, "Does God get jealous?" and ask some questions along those lines,
Yeah.
right? So
Oh,
All
we're
right,
sorry.
okay,
dealing,
all
Big,
right,
big up
you guys
yourself,
we're
by
continue.
the way. I
dealing.
don't think I've spoken to you before. Is it Medtem?
Meant,
Medtem?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, big up Medtem. I've never spoken to you before. Big up, bro.
yeah. Peace,
They got a
man.
man
Yeah,
like Ultra Funky, you know what I'm saying?
Oh shit, there's my favorite Muslim in the whole world. My
Favorite
brother
atheist in the
Ultra.
game. You know what it is,
Come
bro.
on,
Who
come
gave you
on.
a shout
Hey,
earlier as well?
cheese. This is my favorite Muslim in the whole world. And there's like what, 7, 8 billion people on the planet? Oh my god. Yeah,
That's
sorry.
what I like to
Medtem.
see. People
Come in.
with
No
different
shit. I'm gonna
opinions
go. Fuck.
peacefully
I'm gonna go. I'm
discuss.
gonna go. I'll be back.
All right, all right. Well, I'll just add, because if he's listening, I'll just add, like, in my opinion, conclusion I've come with regards to whether or not these questions hold relevance, really, is the short answer, quick, accelerated, is no. God created things that get jealous. We're talking from a creation level. We're talking, does God get jealous? That's like saying, does God have arms and legs? And does God think like us? And like, if I make a chair and put arms on it, it's not the same arms as the arms I have. So how can we talk on that level? Does that make any sense?
I've totally missed the questions and whatnot of the context thereof.
Yeah. Well, he said the question: does God get jealous?
What did Funky ask that question or someone else?
Ultra.
Ultra asked that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I offered the answer to say that basically that's a human emotion.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that we've been created to deal with. It's a part of us that we've been created to deal with. How we're going to relate that to our creator,
Mm-hmm.
how we're going to relate ourselves, and then portray that image onto our creator and try and compare ourselves in that manner. What level of creator is that person? Is are we getting to? Are we thinking of another human that's gone out and made the universe and created everything?
Yeah, I personally don't think that the single unified aspect of the Most High God of the universe gets jealous or feels emotion in the same way that we do. I think that'd be a bit of anthropomorphizing that would need to be justified via the text in some way, shape, or form.
Mm.
But Maverick, what were you saying about infinity and whatnot? What's going on with the atheists and whatnot? I'm catching up late.
I think it might be a way.
Oh, I see. So what's good with you, brother man? Are you a Quranist? Are you a Muslim or?
I'm just someone who's studying and stuff. I'm not sure about
Great answer.
I'm not sure. These labels and stuff it's people pleasing.
Oh, agreed. No worries.
Yeah. So personally, I've not picked any labels. I don't feel compelled to.
That's what's up.
Yeah. It annoys some people, but I don't feel like I have to just pick a label just to justify what someone else wants.
Doesn't bother me one bit.
Yeah, but I grew up in a Sunni Muslim family.
Okay.
And in my later years in life, I decided, I wasn't really following it properly. I was just going along with the stuff that my family was doing. And I thought, you know what? If I'm going to do this and I'm going to teach it to my kids, I'm going to pick up the book and read it. And after reading it, I decided from that book, from that information, that I should leave religion and not pursue religious lifestyle choices. I actively went about trying to take that out of my life.
How's that working for you?
Like personally, myself, I feel amazing.
Not much.
We're just getting to know each other, me and Brother Moore.
Yep.
So just explaining to him how, like, through reading the Quran, I decided to leave all religion and put all that aside and actively remove all those practices from my life. And yeah, I just basically thought, monotheism, philosophy, stuff like that. I just got attracted to all that. So that's what I want to study. And the best way of doing that for myself at the moment is continue to study mainly from the Quran.
Okay, so if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, I believe I'm hearing you say it like, so you read the Quran and it led you to want to leave behind religious study but pick up philosophical study but use the Quran as a basis for that philosophical study.
Yeah, that's what compelled me to go
Okay.
and do that. So
That's fascinating.
from my reading of the Quran, I realized that it's deeply misunderstood,
Mhm.
and there's layers to it that
Facts.
just need unfolding and unfolding,
Mhm.
and it's like a lifetime, probably longer
Yeah,
process. So
it sincerely
like
is.
Maverick was saying before, I'm not looking for answers. I'm just looking for guidance.
For me, I'm looking
Right.
for a bit of both, I think.
1 minute. Hugh said something very interesting, which is the point that I'm trying to make here today. So Hugh Munger said, "What does it make a person if you don't reject the Creator, but you reject Christianity and Islam and their idea of God?" Um, that makes you basically someone who doesn't buy the claims of particular religions, and that's way more reasonable than this idea of claiming that whether there is a creator or not are equally likely. And I say equally likely because if one is likely and you don't actually have a basis for the other reason, then you're in no position to say that they're both that you don't, that they're equally possible, if you like. So my problem is atheists today, not so much people who don't buy the claims of certain religions. That's actually way more acceptable than atheism. There's no basis for atheism. What do
Yeah,
you guys think?
I'll say basically, if you accept the Creator but you reject like the formal aspects of religion, uh, uh, I would consider you just a theist at that juncture. I think that's what they would call that. So you accept the Creator, but it's being a theist versus an atheist or anti-theist, just at its basic point.
I think most people are precisely what Hugh said. I think they are basically disputing certain religions. But this idea of a universe without a creator, you don't have the mental capacity to even think that for a second. Like, go ahead, give me a universe without a creator.
If I could give you a universe without a creator, I wouldn't be living in the joint I'm
That's
living in
exactly
now.
my
You know what
point.
I'm saying?
That's exactly my point. Let me welcome my brother, man. IMG. What's happening, bro?
Yo, bros, how it going?
It's
Salam.
been a while, man. Good to hear from you, man.
Yeah, you hear from you too. Been
Yeah,
gone.
it's been a while. It's been a while.
You had enough of the Sunnis now. Now it's on the atheists.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I genuinely had enough of the Sunnis, bro. Like, I don't
Yeah,
wanna.
man. They're boring, man.
It's boring, bro. You're not gonna. It's not much of a
Yeah.
conversation.
I haven't quite had enough yet. I haven't got my fill yet. I'm still stuck with that one.
Nah, keep going, man.
It's an acquired taste. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, Tabaxi Mill said, "Brother, what basis do we believers have to believe in God?" The reason, the basis you have to believe in God is you can't fathom the alternative. Try and fathom the alternative.
Yeah, this is what I like about what the Quran says about the whole thing. It basically says like points for those who like doubt this whole thing. Just have them break down creation to you. Just start
Yeah.
discussing creation. You know what I'm
Do
saying?
you know what? Do you know what? Can I put something to the panel basically? Because from that comment, right? So when we're left on our own, and we've got our worries, and we're wondering about our life, who do we think we're turning to?
Great question.
Who's listening to us when we're coming to ourselves and worrying about our life problems, our minor problems?
Ahmed, you should do philosophy, bro. I'm telling you, fam.
That's
No, you really should do philosophy.
Programmed
good,
in us
man.
that there's a God. It's programmed in us. That's the basis, because I have been by myself and I feel compelled to ask questions and seek guidance for my life. And where am I going to get them answers from? out of my own head if I have not been created and I have not got that, connection. Why do we
Do you
do
know
it?
I was looking at this this thing came across me once about this protein, yeah. So protein has this cell structure that it's so unlikely that protein can have the cell structure that the chances are like 276,000 in one, and then those cells come together and form this protein cell. So it's so crazy that the scientists still want to believe that it happened randomly.
Have you guys heard this term that scientists are using these days? Emergent property.
Yep.
Please
Yeah.
tell me the Please tell me the difference between supposed emergent property and something just popped into existence and we don't want to explain it.
No difference whatsoever.
Do
None.
you see the wordplay they're playing these days?
The elegant wordplay, yeah, like the fanciful speech. You feel me?
Proper fanciful speech. You know, I was watching. There's this channel called. There's this channel called Closer to Truth, where this Jewish guy basically just goes around asking scientists, renowned scientists like Roger Penrose and that sort of level, and basically he asked them about the question of consciousness and why is there a universe rather than not, and all of that sort of stuff. And if you listen to the stuff these scientists come up with, and I'm talking about the scientists that the atheists have faith in, because they have faith that these scientists are somehow going to discover certain things.
Yeah.
The scientists themselves are baffled. They are literally baffled. I'll give you an example. Like earlier on, this guy asked him, if I collected hydrogen and I collected oxygen, am I going to get water? What do you think the answer was?
Did he say yes?
No, he said no. There's just no way of there's no way of knowing that. Like how it just
So he was honest.
he was
Okay.
honest.
I thought
Do
he
you know
was.
what?
Okay.
Hey, bro, let me actually I gotta play it to you guys, man. I gotta play it for you guys. This is what happens with atheism, man. It's insanity. You guys continue. I'll be right back. Let me just find this.
Yeah.
Well,
I was thinking of something just before but I forgot it now. Ooh.
let's have a look at the comments. How can you claim numbers infinite? You can say
I can tell you right now what's happening. The definition of infinite is being changed.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking that about pi.
How so? I heard you talking about the earlier matter, but I didn't catch what you were saying. I had to do something. How are they using infinite differently?
Because they're saying infinite numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Like numbers in infinite are infinite by definition is not a number.
Go back to
Can't
math.
put a number on it.
Yeah, it's a limited. As soon
I
as it gets
think
3.15, that's it. Over infinity is past pi.
yeah, infinite is just like people saying I'm ignorant about this. I can't find out any further, you know.
Yeah,
give
it's
up.
too much for me, basically. It's another way of saying too much.
Our numerical system is not accurate enough to define pi within a containable amount of numbers.
Yeah.
It's our numerical system, that's what the problem is, not pi. We built them numbers.
Play that shit, man.
I will, bro. Trust me, I will. You guys
They
should
could have-
watch this. Watch this channel as well. It's a great channel, man. I have to admit, the questions are great. Watch this. Can you guys see it? Yeah.
George, the belief of many physicists is that ultimately physics can explain everything in terms of very fundamental things in the standard model, which thinks of cosmology. The claim that has been growing recently is that
Can you mute yourself?
Put your mic
how
on mute.
Mute yourself.
My mic.
concept
Oh,
of
my
a
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
I
a
hear it twice.
wasn't a term, a metaphoric term, but there's something deep and fundamental about it. You're one of the proponents of it. I need to understand.
Okay, well, let's ask the following question. If we knew everything about what was the state of the universe at the time of the last scattering of the cosmic microwave background from atom, which is basically 14 billion years ago, could you predict what you and I are saying to each other today from that data?
Right.
And some of the strong physicalists believe that that would be the case. In fact, I'm having a debate about that at this very moment with someone at the meeting that we are at. I think it's absolutely clear that there isn't remotely possible this would be the case, because the fluctuations on the surface of last scattering, if you believe standard cosmology, are random Gaussian fluctuations.
Right.
Okay, now out of that, emergence has taken place over time of animals. Human beings are able to think, and human beings then can discuss and produce books like Einstein's theory of relativity, like Einstein's theory of relativity paper in 1915, Darwin's book on the origin of the species. Okay, now those books contain logical argumentation. There is no way that that logical argumentation was implied in any sense by that data on the cosmic microwave background surface. Something has happened between there and there which has led to that logical argumentation appearing in the real world, which it undoubtedly has done.
Okay, now what I can do, I mean, on its surface, that's correct. Well, what I can do is I can draw a picture that can show an evolutionary picture, and then it would develop the nervous system in the brain. That was my old field, and I could describe that. And I have a brain, and then the output of the brain, and then you have interactions between brains and communities, and I can give a story.
Yes, but the physics does not come into that story in any way except facilitating. What you're bringing in a Darwinian picture. No physics book has got Darwin's law as a law of physics. No physics books has got a law, has got the Hodgkin-Huxley equations as a law of physics. They are emergent
That's
laws.
for the nerve impulse. I certainly agree with that. But those rules or laws or understandings came out of a
You know, this guy is like most of us today. He doesn't believe in religions, although he believes there's a purpose to the universe.
Before I continue the video, any comments from so far? I mean, especially, did you guys hear when he said emergent laws? Can you imagine the state?
They crack me up with it, bro. Like that. That's the first time I heard that concept. The emergent laws like that. Okay.
Emergent laws.
Man, like Ultra in the building. Oh man, salam alaikum to my man Vegeta in the chat. I see you, all right?
Yo, Ultra, speak up, bro. Don't be scared. It's only us.
So I gotta. So in your studies of this guy we're listening to, does he ever get into the cause of the emergent laws?
No, that's precisely why he calls it emergent.
That's okay.
That's literally. That's precisely why they call it emergent.
And what laws are emerging? What laws does it claim are emerging?
Should we listen to some more?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Take some notes, please. Listen to the words that he uses. Anything that they can't answer for, they'll just say, it gets even worse later on. Please just watch.
Yeah, don't forget to mute up. Yeah.
Mechanism of the brain that somebody came up with, and in some ultimate analytical sense, and maybe 1 billion years from now, I don't know how long it would take, you could describe how those ideas came in terms of something in the physical world. That's the argument. You can get down to do that, unless the claim is that at some levels there is something that is absolutely non-reducible to the physical.
The claim is that through some of the processes you indicated, many of which are not physical, although they're allowed by the physics, brains came into being which are able to carry out logical argumentation as an argumentation at the psychological level.
Yes, I agree with that.
And that argumentation is what leads to, for instance, e to the I pi plus 1 is equal to 0 being written down on a piece of paper. The physics knows absolutely nothing about that. You have to have the emergence of the possibility of logical argumentation to take place. That logical argumentation then has the possibility of controlling what appears as a piece of paper.
So how does it control it?
It controls it by basically being realized in micro structure of the brain and then through to our muscles.
Okay, but you're not requiring anything of a non-physical nature here at this point, or are you?
I am. An idea is a non-physical thing. An idea is realized in the brain, but the idea itself is not a physical thing.
Oh, okay.
Now, everything we see around us here, basically except for the trees, was designed by the human mind.
Right.
Okay. So the mind is causally affective, and thoughts are causally affective, but a thought is not a physical thing. It's realized in a physical way, but it is not of itself a physical thing.
And that's sort of a property dualism kind of a thought.
Yep.
But ultimately, even a property dualist is not really a dualist, because they believe that the only thing that really exists is the physical world. The idea exists, and it has its own validity, but it is only realized because of the physical things going on below. I mean, if there's nothing else, unless you're saying that the laws of physics, when they get to a certain level, create things that in principle can never be understood by the microphysics.
Well, it can't be understood. You can't understand either pi plus 1 is equal to 0 in terms of the Maxwell equation interacting electrons. I think that's pretty obvious. You can't understand it at that level.
And you can't understand that at that level. That's right, but ultimately, that's the only way it's realized in terms of.
That is the way it's realized. Yes. So you've got multiple levels. You've got the atomic level. You've got the molecular level. You've got the systems level.
Right.
All of these are simultaneously. Causation is taking place simultaneously in all of them, in such a way that the logical thing can be worked out. But it's the logic which is driving what happens. It's the physics which is enabled it to happen, but the logic is deciding the outcome.
So you have what would be downward causation.
Downward realization.
Realization. So what's the difference between causation and realization? You didn't like my word causation.
I've been persuaded recently, different from what I've written about before, that causation is always horizontal, emergence is vertical, and realization is downward.
Oh yeah, that I can understand that. But I'm just trying to think, does that get me wherever you want to get me?
What is useful as a computer is an analog, and when a computer, for instance, sorts a list of names,
computers are good analogy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. You feed in a program at the top, and an algorithm in the program is
yes.
Okay, that algorithm is changed down through a series of virtual machines to the bottom level by compilers and interpreters.
And that's the machine language at the bottom.
Machine language does it, and then it goes up again. And what you fed in at the top results in the the list being printed out. The electrons flowing through the gates enable it to happen, but it's the algorithm which has decided what will in fact happen.
But the algorithm is represented ultimately in terms of the transistors and
correct. And at this level, it's the laws of it's Maxwell's equations and Newton's equations at this level. But at this level, it is the logic of the algorithm which is deciding what will happen at that level, and ultimately it's that which decides which electrons will flow through which gates at the bottom level.
Okay, so when it decides which it does, but the only way it does it is through other kinds of electrical impulses.
Yeah, so the whole thing is happening simultaneously at all of these levels. And the question which is put by some of the people looking at this is, it's the top level decides what will be done and the lower levels carry out the work.
Okay, so let me ask this question, and this is an emergence question. Let me give you an example of what I think is emergence that is explainable. So we know the H2O is water. If I gave you some gas of hydrogen, gas of oxygen and hydrogen, and you can analyze those things, and then you put it together, and then could you ever predict that if you got a lot of it together, it would be wet?
No, the answer is no, you can't. But this is one of the problems with which.
Oh, okay, so I think there are people who said you can.
Well, all right, let me step back a little bit.
When you know that the angle between the hydrogen and the oxygen, then you can put a lot together, you can see how they would slip and how wetness could occur.
There is a great problem in deriving the macro properties of waters from the micro properties. But all right, let me give you the answer perhaps that it does. But let me make the following statement. By the time you've done that, the hydrogen atom no longer exists as a hydrogen atom. It only exists as a water molecule. So the lower level no longer exists as the individual entities. They've got incorporated in higher level entities.
Okay, but in principle, you should be able to predict that. If you knew everything about the hydrogen and the oxygen, you should be able to predict the wetness of water if you have it in groups.
You should, and the behavior of water is actually pretty difficult.
No, difficulty is for sure. As I said, I don't think this that will be solved in decades or even centuries. This might take millennia. Who knows how long? The question is in principle.
In the case of water, in principle, absolutely, you can do that. And in the case of water, the top-down effect in the case of water is what is the outside pressure and temperature, because those decide whether it'll be water or ice or steam. For sure. So there is a top-down effect there, but it's not a very interesting top-down effect.
No, but my point is that you can figure that out. You can in terms of so the question is the water example different than your other example?
Absolutely, because in the other cases there's logical stuff going on at that level. And the flows of electrons let me go back to that computer example. Exactly the same logic gets rewritten at each of those levels. It was written in Fortran, it gets rewritten in Java, it gets rewritten in assembly, gets rewritten in machine language. It's exactly the same logic gets rewritten at each of those levels. Then it gets incorporated into physical systems. The logic is still the thing that is driving everything. And the logic does get embodied in the lower level structures. They are realizing it, but the thing that is driving it is an abstract entity, the logic.
Bro. So is he saying that logic creates
an abstract entity called logic is driving everything? Do you guys hear that?
Right. Okay. So from what I got from what he's saying,
see what they do with?
Is that we're headed towards a utopian future because of logic. We will end up with a utopian future because of through logic. That's what is necessitated.
Bro, what the hell is an abstract logic? How do you even?
I don't know.
How do you even coin the term?
So depending on how you look at it, what I ended up hearing was like a really elaborate way of explaining the collapse of the wave function via the observer and whatnot. In the context of, I heard him say emergent possibility, and then I heard him acknowledge the different levels of like the quantum realm, the atomic realm, et cetera, right? And so I heard him being really particular when he was shifting back and forth in between certain levels of stuff. And real quick, shout out to LPP in the chat, logical, plausible, probable. And I'm proud of myself for saying it right the first time. You know what I'm saying? He's a theist debater over on Modern Day Debate. He gets it in with it. He gets it in with atheists all day. Y'all would probably actually enjoy having a conversation. He's a real logical dude, and he takes with a real short fuse. You know what I'm saying? Like he gets it in with the atheists. You know?
No, seriously,
Get him on.
But he's a smart dude and whatnot. And we both debated on he's debated on that platform. I've only been on there once, but he's debated.
Get him on to tell us about Darwinism.
Yeah, but the link is there, guys. Jump on.
Come on, jump on. Tell us about Darwinism and how he lied and everything.
But guys, how many questions arose from that video? Do you see how much he struggled?
I lost it when he said brains came into being.
Yeah, that's where I lost it, because
I don't know what the hell that is.
He's saying brains came into being through necessity and emergent things. Yeah, so through that, what he's saying is that through logic, everything around us is going to change to get better to suit what logically should get better. So eventually everything's just going to be amazing and get better and better and better. But the people who are observing the universe are saying that through entropy, everything's just going to disperse. So that science is actually saying the opposite of what he's saying.
Yeah. Do you know when he said causation is horizontal and emergence is vertical?
Yeah.
So what the hell? Like, it's like a roundabout, like causation coming from one side and emergence coming from the other side, and they just happen to meet at the perfect moment or something. I don't know, man.
And he said realization comes downwards.
And that's what I thought was interesting about the concept. Where I think that there was some stuff where they were talking past each other a little bit, in the sense to where I'm like when you talk about like emergent stuff, right? I understand the concept, like when people talk like how a tornado happens, to where like there's just a bunch of things that collide to make something happen like a tornado, right? And I can see where people are trying to make that like a.
But they have that
explain like abiogenesis. Yeah, but on the other hand, when I was hearing the guy on the left break down what he was saying, again on the quantum realm. So when you say something like an emergent possibility in the quantum realm, they already know that like a wave function is encoded with all the possibilities of its collapse. So like in a material world or the atomic world, you can't have like infinity cannot be a number, like or it's not like a specific thing. But in a quantum realm, you go.
Brother Mo, sorry to interrupt you. Before this Nathan guy leaves, I really want him to come and join us, because this is the sort of atheist I was looking for. Gotcha. He says atheism threatens your religion. We shall see. Please jump on.
No, man.
Let's see how much of a threat atheism is.
I actually respect atheists more than religious people.
No, I used to be an atheist. I don't have like I respect the position depending on like it can be a logical position depending on how they define God or how God is defined to them.
Well, that's it. If it's atheism versus religion, then yeah, there is definitely an argument.
I think it's one thing to say, I don't believe in these religions, the religions that I've come across, and maybe even it's one thing to say I don't believe in the concept of religion, but I don't think there is any basis whatsoever to say that there may or may not be a creator, because say you have two possibilities. You have there is a creator and you have there is no creator. You have plenty of reasons for there is a creator. The box on there's a creator side, but on the other box of there is no creator, you cannot put in a single reason, not one. Yeah. Give me one.
Yeah. So if we were to traverse the universe and measure everything by a logic of, I might be breaking some rules here, but let's say we're going with atheism.
Mm.
By that logic, to say that, you know, we've come about just through happenstance, searching the whole universe, if it is this type of playing thing, we should go and find an iPhone, and if we did, we would just assume that it just came about through happenstance somewhere. There's got to be iPhone somewhere in the universe that wasn't made by man, that just came about.
Yeah, there has to be.
And the Samsung and sofas.
Watchmaker fallacy.
Just buried in the ground and on some planet somewhere. There must be.
No, further. Okay, they're gonna probably say the watchmaker fallacy, although I don't think it's a fallacy at all. Like, however,
yeah, but archaeologists, when they find stuff,
no, I agree with you, bro.
Ground, they don't just say, "Oh, the Earth made this pottery. It just so happened to be in this shape, and some materials went on it in a certain pattern that looked like paint." No, they say, "Oh no, there was people that lived here. We found their pottery."
Mm. No, I agree with you, but if I'm gonna be charitable and say, "All right, cool, whatever," let them have their arguments when it comes to that. What they can't escape is cause and effect. That's the simple thing that they cannot escape. They need to give me an effect without a cause, or they need to answer for this effect. One of the two. Because right now, what they're doing is they're trying to entertain the idea of an effect without a cause, and they have no basis for it.
Yeah.
So he's saying
you say something about favorite Buddhist right there. My fault. Go ahead.
So he's saying, what caused your God? Well, like, how did your God come about? So that's a weird question.
But that's
because
assuming.
That's assuming God exists inside creation, that He exists in space and time. Because we know, but even through science, we know that space and time did come into existence at some point long and long ago. So
I'm loving this. Alban always drops some serious comments, man. He said, nowadays scientists think we live in a matrix, computer simulation type universe, which means there is a creator of this simulation, God. No, like every theory they come up with, how do you escape a programmer, a creator, an initiator? How do you escape these things?
You can't. Hold on, real quick. I got a question in the chat for myself. Like, so how it says I used to be an atheist. What made me believe in God, etc. Literally science, literally quantum physics. So I was an atheist because I had this concept of a God external from creation, or a God that couldn't participate with creation, or an illogical concept of God, as far as I'm concerned, right? Then I watched the movie called What the Bleep Do We Know? About 6 times in the movie theater when it first came out, and I learned quantum physics that way, or a lot about started learning about quantum physics that way, and I started learning about quantum entanglement and the collapse of the wave function and how the quantum realm works versus how the atomic realm works and whatnot. And when I recognized just the concept of like entanglement or the wave function, it something like the understanding the collapse of the wave function helped me understand what the soul is in the context of religious literature and whatnot, and how the waves can be entangled and whatnot. It helped me understand a lot of things about how we were structured and whatnot. And so I learned that my view of what God was incorrect, period. And therefore my understanding of the literature was incorrect. And once I changed what my view of God was, my view of the literature changed. And I was able to recognize it differently. It's the best way I can put it, though, in a short breath.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting, because I think this is probably one of the main issues, is when someone's saying, for example, like Nathan on there sounds like it says everything needs a cause except your God. So So, like you're saying, more is it looks like his idea of God is way off what we're talking about. Because if you are going to think about something that created us all,
Mhm.
why would you go one step ahead and say then who created that? Like, I don't know. Me personally, I just think that's just someone stumbling on themselves.
Yes and no. I mean, like, there's logical questions in that, right? You're trying to find like the first cause and all kind of things, right? Like, where does this come from? Where does that come from, right?
Yeah, if I gave you a can of Coca-Cola and said to you, "I made this can of Coke. This is
Mhm.
I am the creator of Coca-Cola,"
Mhm.
then you know it's obvious, logically that I'm not the creator of the Coca-Cola. I'm lying.
Mhm.
So if you're gonna think of, okay, is there a creator?
Mhm.
Then if you're gonna bring this creator as an idea of what the secular religions are portraying as a creator, this
Mhm.
angry, jealous thing that something in the sky.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's probably why you're going to go against it so much, because that's your idea of God. And then when you're coming across someone who's just speaking about theology and not religion, it's difficult to break away from that idea of God.
Yeah, and that's why I said scientifically my concept of God changed and whatnot. So in just a short, but let's say like so what I call God, or I'll when I talk to atheists, I just describe as like the animating force to all life. And at the end of the day, we're talking about energy. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And at the same point in time, it contains information. And not just any information. When you get into it, it contains all possibilities of all information. Hence, the concept of a wave is encoded with all the possibilities of its collapse. Like again, on a quantum level, you can get an encoding for infinity. That's how the quantum level works. Like when when that hit me in the face, I was like, oh wow, okay. Further down the rabbit hole we go. And so. A lot of people think about like the monotheistic God as being like all powerful, all knowing, and everywhere, right? Well, that's literally energy when you really break it down. Energy is everywhere, every Quinn. It's the essence of all force. You know what I'm saying? So it is what all power is. And again, in the concept of it being all knowing, energy is encoded with all the possibilities of its collapse. So it knows all energy is encoded with all possibilities, hence all knowing. So once I understood that concept, then I started reapplying it to the literature. Oh man, again, like the clockmaker fallacy is a fallacy if you have a finite concept of what the clockmaker is, not the clock. Like if you're defining the clockmaker by the clock, that's the fallacy.
Yeah,
that is the fallacy.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I had a great conversation one day. I'm mad it got taken down from the G Block channel. One of the channels got taken down apparently because I had to say I had it on my playlist, but it just appeared one day. I was talking to Rob Speaker's Corner, right? They're big atheist dude, right? And he eventually had to change his position on theists based upon how they determine whether if God can either participate or not participate with his own creation. So he had to take a different stance with people who thought, like me and other people, that God can enter his own creation in some form, right? Because when I said energy, I'm like, well, yeah, like you're animated with energy. You know what I'm saying? We were talking about like, so what animates you? What's the difference between a live body and dead body? And he started going into all electricity and blah blah. I was like, oh, okay, we're talking about energy. I was like, so I asked him, like, so does your body produce that energy? And he's like, well, yeah. I was like, no, that's not how energy works. You don't produce the energy, you tap into it. And then we started getting into this concept of energy cannot be created nor destroyed, etc., whatnot. And like the quantum concepts of how it's the quantum things that were going on in the brain, quantum aspects of photosynthesis, for God's sake. Like, you got to start teaching quantum physics for photosynthesis now in school. Like, that's crazy to me. I couldn't even fathom that growing up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the photosynthesis. But no, you need quantum physics to understand photosynthesis now. So this overlapping of, like, so again, the quantum realm is like the unseen concept. They've literally gotten to the point where, like, they see like certain particles popping in and out of existence. They just don't know where it comes from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're like, we've identified the unseen. No, well, okay. we identify we cannot see it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We've seen something that's unseeable.
We see the barrier of where things are popping in and out. That's about it.
Yeah. There was a comment by Nathan again saying that God needs a cause unless you claim that God always existed, right? So just to put a quick comment to that is, if you're introspecting about theology and then you come to the idea of a creator of the creator, then I think you're stumbling on yourself and you're not really on the right trail to looking at the true idea of theology. And if there was a creator to the creator, then that creator is the creator.
Yeah.
Not the creator.
Right.
Let's make it simpler, guys. Yeah, let's make it simpler, because they can't keep getting away with these silly assertions. Fact of the matter is, we exist in this universe. Because we exist, there are, let's say, 3 possibilities. Either the universe is infinite, it's always existed, or it came into existence, or you fall into infinite regress. There is no other alternative.
But on the topic of existence, did the creator, in my opinion, the creator made existence. So the idea we have of existence,
there's a fourth possibility,
is created. Yeah. So on our level of existence is not the same as saying, "Oh, God exists," or "There is a God." Me personally, I won't go around saying God exists, because the word exists is loaded. That's like saying something in the sky or something beyond the sky or something beyond matter.
Maybe not though. That's why I'm saying there's a fourth possibility. Like,
I actually get what he's saying, but that's too deep.
Yeah, here's where I disagree, and this is what comes with the fourth possibility, in the sense that where you can have an infinite aspect of the universe that predates the physical creation of what's actually, like, so when my man's talking about existing,
that's time bound. That's time bound. That's like saying God was hanging around forever.
That's saying God is forever.
One second. If you say infinite aspect of the universe, that's still saying the universe is infinite.
On a certain level, yeah.
Okay, cool. Then what we need to do is we need to identify it, because the universe is merely everything that exists. So what part of the universe is infinite? It has to be identified. We can't just make the claim.
The quantum part.
But the quantum part is dependent on space.
How?
Huh?
How?
Without space, where how would you even identify quantum?
How is energy defined by space, or bound by space, or anything by space?
No, but if there is no space, if there is no room,
define space for me real quick.
The that which is in between point A and B.
Anything around us, where we exist in,
Yeah, and also time.
All right, time's finite though.
Yeah, but okay, if time is finite, how can quantum be infinite? Like without time, how would you have quantum?
What?
Yeah,
because they exist on two different levels. That's the whole point.
right. And also, there's
But one
many
moment.
things. There's many
These
things that we do
these
not
quantums
know
that
yet.
you're talking about, don't they
Mhm.
need waves? I forgot the name of those waves.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Waves. 100%.
So the quantums that you're referring to is dependent on waves, right?
Not necessarily dependent on waves. It's part of the whole thing. Like, so this is what I'm saying. Like, so like when you're saying dependent.
Yeah. Can it exist without the waves?
Can quantum exist without the waves? Okay.
So it's dependent.
No, I'm trying to answer the question based upon so we need to define what quantum is real quick, just so we're clear on that part. Hold on.
Does it? I don't think we need to define
we have the same working definition right quick.
Okay.
But just a quick thing to put in there while you're looking that up is, I'm of the idea of thinking that I am not capable of knowing or understanding everything, and at the same time,
No one is.
humanity hasn't figured everything out yet. There's probably stuff about quantum science, space, time, everything that we're going to discover that changes everything we know.
No, Ahmed.
Yeah,
no.
Hold on, real quick. Let me answer.
One minute.
Okay.
The one thing it cannot change is that they are all dependent.
Yeah. Okay. And let me answer your question like this real quick. Like so in physics, it says here's the definition. In chemistry, a quantum is a discrete packet of energy or matter. Right. The term quantum also means the minimum value of physical property involved in interaction. The plural quantum is quanta. In terms of the waves, so the wave particles at this juncture, they can see where they pop in and out of existence. Period. Right. So like this, there's a bit to where like they're saying there's a barrier that we can't see beyond, right? That the wave particles are literally interacting with. So the waves are interacting with the unseen, and then they get to a point where we can collapse the whole joint, right? So you're
talking about a closed system then.
I'm talking about the waves are dependent on something. Does that make sense?
It's a system then, isn't it?
100%, and that's right.
Okay, but if you have a system, then you should have external to that system.
Not necessarily.
You mean a code, like a?
No, the code is there.
Code?
There's a code that's there. Hence the waves are encoded with the possibilities of the collapse, right?
Yeah, but the code needs a coder.
Don't disagree.
Code giver.
Right, and that's that part where again, so just like where the Quran would talk about the concept of the unseen, right? The physicists, they're literally saying, okay, there's this aspect of the unseen that we're dealing with at this juncture. Like, so even when they deal with measuring the fundamental forces, they're not even measuring the forces, right? They're measuring the effects thereof. Dude, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So they're at the stalemate point, if that makes sense, right? So we're like, okay, we can't measure the unseen. We can't deal with the unseen like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we know things are coming out of that unseen and going back to that unseen, but we can't do nothing with that unseen. Does that mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right. So we can't call it infinite then. I mean, on what basis would we call it infinite?
No, which it in particular? Just so I'm clear.
The energy, no matter, because we're talking about a system, and this system. How do we determine that this system is infinite?
So the wave function. The reason why you can call something like a wave function, like in an infinite concept, is because it can exist in superposition. Right, and that's the concept of like everywhere, every when, all them types of things, right?
No, but the question is, why is there something rather than nothing? I mean, energy and matter is something, isn't it?
Facts.
So is it necessary is it necessary for energy and matter to? Are they necessary properties for them to always exist?
I'm not clear on the question.
I mean, can we conclude in any way, shape, or form that energy and matter are necessary properties, like as in they are necessarily infinite?
They are necessary if you want tangible things in this universe. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I'm glad you said if you want tangible things. So that caveat, if you want tangible things, is assuming that tangible things,
even intangible, if you want anything in this, if you want like so just like if you want to like build like proteins and whatnot, you need like a certain stack of amino acids and whatnot, right? If you want to build anything in this universe, if you're doing it without matter or energy, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So what came first?
The unseen, then the energy, then the form.
Okay, so the energy and the form aren't infinite then, as in they are caused or brought about into the existence by the unseen.
So we'll agree to disagree just on specific terminology. Like, so I would say it like this: like the unseen is immortal, the energy is infinite, the form is finite.
I mean,
yeah.
Or eternal, not immortal, eternal. Excuse me. The unseen is eternal. The energy is infinite. The form is finite.
Why make a difference between eternal and infinite? Why call one thing eternal and the other infinite?
Right. So, from what I get, is you're saying on this quantum level, that's how God interacts with existence. Yeah.
In some form or fashion, yeah. Not like that. I'm not just limited to that, but yeah, that's a function thereof. Yes.
Right. So what I would put to you is, do you think that is the means in which God interacts with existence, or that is God interacting with existence?
Just so I'm clear, what's the difference in your head?
Right. So if I want to put a nail in a piece of wood, I use a hammer. Yeah. So the means is the hammer, not me. You understand?
No, because you would need you to hammer the nail in.
Well, let's say I use an electric hammer that's on a machine. It's just what I'm trying to say is the means might not necessarily be the
cause.
Yeah, the cause. Like, for example, the means we are using to communicate is the internet. We are not the internet.
Right. So yeah, I'm not saying the energy. Like, so real quick, I'm not saying like the energy of the quantum realm is the cause. I'm definitely saying
no, but even the unseen is a means. It's just that we don't have access to it.
Hey, can I add something to what Sam said before? Yeah? Like, it's impossible for us to know everything. So, like, as an example, in science, like gravity before was thought of as a force that pulls things to the ground, pulls things to the earth, which was discovered by Newton when he saw the apple fall from the tree. So that was believed as the dominating theory in science. Like everyone thought that's what gravity is, until Einstein came along, and then now the understanding of gravity is totally different. It's almost the opposite. Like kind of like space bends. Space is the force is so heavy that it bends space and time.
ING. Before we go on to before we go further into the topic, let's just eliminate the claims or the non-claims, shall we say, of atheists. Because right now, Jeffrey just said to Medterm Ahmed basically, that he's making the assumption that the quote unquote unseen exists. So please, if we just go back to the universe and whether the universe is infinite or whether whether the cause whether there's a cause for an infinite regress and all of that, just so we can have some sort of basis to work on, because at this juncture, Jeffrey believes that atheism and theism are equally likely. So let's just eliminate
Okay.
that idea.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But
What
brother
does
Moore,
he mean when he says unseen? What do you mean by unseen?
I feel like I could have a conversation with Brother Moore about this, but I wouldn't feel too comfortable talking about it in a panel like this because it's just theoretical.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'd be happy to talk with you about it. I feel like we might be able to have a good conversation about it. But with this idea of unseen, I mean, if we've not seen it, how do we know what it is? But we're discovering stuff. So as far as what Jeffrey has said is like saying, "Oh, we're not gonna discover shit. There's nothing left to discover. We've discovered everything. There's lots that's unseen, and it's not all unseeable. But there's probably a lot of stuff out there that we can't measure."
But I'll tell you what we can do though. Like, can we agree that because we exist, because we are here, we exist.
Mhm.
Something is necessary. And what is necessary is that something has to be infinite. And the reason for that is because the alternative is just popping into existence. So can we at least agree on the infinity part, that is necessary?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I want to know if these atheists have a problem with that.
And real quick, before I got to jump off and get some other stuff right quick. Before I jump off, so you asked a great question. Like, so why differentiate between eternal and infinite?
Yeah.
So the small difference, and I'll get into it later with you, is one is the source of the other. Like, so the eternal would be the source of the infinite the source of the finite. So there is a hierarchy in the bit, right? Like, so like
I have a problem with that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because infinity, by definition, is something that doesn't have a beginning nor an end. Like, it's unlimited. You cannot measure it. So how can infinity come into existence?
I was just gonna say the same thing. Don't mix infinity with time.
This is where it gets tricky, right?
Time is finite.
It gets real, right? It gets real intricate when you start talking about the quantum realm and then the source of the quantum realm.
Wait, guys. Before we move on, please, because Jeffrey just laughed. He said infinity equals God. Ha ha. Okay. Here's where he can't avoid. So he had no problem with infinity there. He just has a problem with infinity and then getting to God. All right.
Real quick, observation defines the hierarchy.
One second. Watch this now, yeah? So if you have something infinite and then you have the finite universe, explain that without the will to bring that finite into existence. Explain that without willing it. Because without willing it, the alternative is that it is programmed to bring finite into existence. And the moment you use words like programmed, then you must have a programmer. And then you go back into the infinite regress.
Right.
So escape infinite plus will to explain the finite universe. And watch him change the definition of infinite. Go ahead.
Yeah, and real quick, just on a real simplistic level, Maverick, you and I are saying 100% the same thing. I'm just being, when I'm saying a small differentiation, I'm just being super, super uber technical. Does that make sense? I'm not disagreeing with you.
Let's do what.
But anyway, I gotta jump off, fam. Y'all have a good one. Peace and blessings.
We'll catch you later.
Yes, sir.
We'll catch you later. Yo, guys, check what Jeffrey did. He said, "I'll give you a perfect example of infinity coming to existence." Didn't I tell you that we changed the definition?
That's a self-contradiction.
Yeah.
Didn't I tell you they would change the definition?
Because that's where
They
you
can't
get
help it.
eternal, because it's confusing infinity with eternal. Because I think eternal is time bound, yeah. So as soon as time finishes, anything that's eternal would also finish.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But like infinity coming into
Jeffrey
existence,
said,
how does that
go on, bro.
work? Infinity comes into existence.
Exactly.
It starts to exist? Like what does that mean?
Exactly. How is it infinite if it starts to exist?
Yeah.
They change definitions of words. And then now what he's doing, watch this, yeah? He's saying infinite equals programmed. No, what we're saying is from the infinite to the finite, unless the infinite wills the finite into existence, the alternative is programmed. And the moment you have programmed, you go back into programmer. Am I missing something here?
No, that makes sense. Well, basically, even on a simple, without the program side of things, is if there was infinite and then something finite, did that come into existence itself? Did finite things just come? So it must have been caused by the infinite.
Yeah.
Anything finite must have, unless finite things have infinitely been coming into existence. But
Look what he did. I'm telling you, he's insisting on changing the definition. He said, "I'm not changing the definition of anything. I can seriously give you an example of an infinity coming into existence." Precisely what you were saying earlier on, bro. He still thinks infinity comes into existence, and he still calls it infinity. You see what we're dealing with?
Yeah.
Like definitions of words change. And the moment definitions of words change, can we even have a conversation?
And it's whether or not they're questioning the actual topic, or they're questioning our logic and our like we're just people, man. Like you guys, we just have ideas and thoughts. You've got to question them questions in yourself. Like you've got to think about what do you mean by infinite when you come up with that word and put it to us. Like,
Look what he said. An infinity can come into existence. I'm telling you, he's not gonna back
that is
down.
example that he's giving us.
No,
Is that his
he's not gonna back down. Don't you not see that he's insisting on changing the definition of the word? I promise you, he's not gonna back down from that.
No, you don't see the contradiction in that statement.
No, he doesn't see the contradiction in the statement because he's changed the definition of the word infinite.
Well,
it's no longer infinite.
Here we go. Yeah, exactly, Jeffrey. So if something infinite came into existence today, was it infinite yesterday?
Hadouken.
Come on.
And
Yesterday,
they have the audacity. And they have the audacity to mock people. Imagine that.
You could argue the fact that something eternal came into existence today, because from today it will continue eternally until the end of time. And then at the end of time, that's when it stops, because that's when the end of eternity is. But anything infinite would remain because it's not bound by time.
It's not bound by it, it's boundless by definition.
It's boundless. Yeah, exactly.
It's boundless, literally, by definition.
So he just gave the answer. No, it's not. It wasn't infinite yesterday. So how can it ever be infinite if it wasn't infinite yesterday? Infinite, like, understand infinity before you use the term, or you just have a different understanding of infinity.
No, he's doing it on purpose. They know they can't avoid this word because they know it's necessary. So what they do is they change the definition instead. Look what he's saying. I'm surprised that you guys are stuck on me changing the definition instead of simply asking what I'm talking about. I wonder what that is. Why that is. Oh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's us.
So Jeffrey, do you think time started at one point, or time has just been going on infinitely? Like, where's Jeffrey coming from? Because we know that the universe is going to end.
And it started at some time.
Yeah. So where do we go from there?
Actually, they willy-nilly decide to ignore and deny the fact that the universe started as well. Have you not noticed that? Willy-nilly, bro.
Yeah. Before that, there was loads of big bangs and
multiverses, and we're not even sure about the Big Bang. You will never pin them. You cannot pin them to anything.
Yeah, and they'll say they know that as if like it's true.
Look what I said. An infinity that came into existence is called a black hole. Oh, is that? Black holes are infinities. Also, now look, infinity. So black holes is not one thing, by the way. So it's plural of black holes. All right, infinities that came into existence when mass
So by
passing.
definition, it's not an infinity.
Please elaborate.
Who created the creator of a creator? No. There's only one creator. Yeah, we can't create anything. We've not seen anyone create anything. We just make stuff. Yeah, creator created existence. So creators can't come into existence. The creator cannot come into existence because the creator created existence.
We don't need to have that conversation because we cannot have infinite regress. We don't need to entertain that at all.
Yeah, probably just pass on that one, because if you're stuck on that yourself, then I think you're tripping on your own.
And by the way, Jeffrey Jones did two things. Number one, he said black holes come into existence, therefore they have a date of birth, according to him. I don't know how you call anything with a date of birth an infinite. Number one. Number two, he said they are infinite, as though he's somehow measured it, or as though he can measure it, or like, how do you conclude that it's infinite? How would you determine that? So not only is it not infinite going back because it came into existence, but it can't be infinite going forward because you have no way of determining that. So that was just a whole lot of waffle. Am I missing something here? Am I missing something here? He's literally just using fancy words. Tabaxi just said it properly. If it came into existence, how is it infinite? It has a date of birth, for crying out loud. And then he's saying it is infinite. Like, how would you determine that?
No, I think he ended it for himself when he came up with that comment. Let me just go back to it where it says.
And then on top of that, Ahmed, he said infinity, so he's talking about plural things.
Yeah. There's more than one
plural infinite.
So, and as you say, no, it wasn't
two boundless things. How can I have two boundless things? Clearly, their bound is at least where they meet. So they're not boundless, are they? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you just have to. It's back to that question: either there is or there isn't. And if you think there isn't, then where's the logic in that? You end up not understanding infinite.
And when he says
this, guys. So when it comes to infinite, he changed the definition. Now I'm going to show you another angle. How do you respond to from the infinite to the finite without the will, without the choice to do so? How would you explain it?
Well, the finite can only occur if existence is possible, whereas the infinite doesn't rely on any existence.
Correct.
It just is.
Correct. So how do you go from the infinite to the finite without choice? So because the moment we say choice, that's where conscience comes in. That's where we're talking about a creator. So they're trying to entertain the idea that a choice is not necessary. So go ahead, let's entertain that. How could you have infinite, finite without choice?
I think it's inevitable. Finite is inevitable because of infinite creates. The creator creates. That's what's going to happen.
No, I want to see. I want to try and put myself in their shoes. How? How do you have infinite to finite without choice? Just for the life of me, how?
Yeah, and also order within existence. How would anyone explain any order within existence without like you say, a choice being made to create the finite with, like, for example, there's laws and design of creation. Why would all that happen? Why is there any order?
Exactly. You can't even go from infinite to finite without choice. Can't go anywhere.
Like Tabaxa says, infinity cannot be observed. So that's so basically he also has faith, just like he's accusing us of having faith. He having faith
One
in this
hundred
thing called
percent.
infinity. He has faith in this thing called infinity, which he can't measure, and which he
Can't
says
even grasp it.
yeah.
Look, he mentioned it in two parts, and I'm glad Tabaxa spotted him, because he said, one, he said infinity came into existence, and two, he said black holes are infinite. And Tabaxa said you can't observe that. So how would you even conclude that?
Yeah. Can you put infinity in a lab or a machine and measure? Can you know what it
Thank,
is?
thank you.
Or even gravity. Can you measure gravity in a lab? Like you said, black holes have gravity. No, man.
And they have the audacity to walk around and beat their chest.
Yeah, I didn't say you accuse me of anything. I'm just saying that's correct. Like you can't
No, I'm not
observe
talking about you,
infinity.
bro. No, I'm
I'm
not talking about
talking
you.
about
I'm saying alien.
I'm talking to Tabaxa.
Oh,
Tobacconist,
see,
whatever.
sorry.
Tobacco.
Mm. There's, bro, they cannot provide anything. Anything. So imagine you have option A and then you have option B. You have plenty of reasons for option A. You have no reason for option B, and you act as though they are equally possible, and you go, I don't know. Is that possible? When would you do that?
Mm.
And another thing, bro, seriously, we need to pin this down. One, they have faith in the future, because they keep saying in the future scientists will discover this, will discover that, will discover that. So they have faith in that, because they have no reason to believe that science will somehow make the conclusions that they expect. Am I lying?
Yeah, there was this video I watched, yeah, and most people have seen it on YouTube. It's about this guy saying how water, yeah, on Joe Rogan's podcast. So he's like, water is boils at 100 degrees Celsius, right? So he's like, yeah, water boils at 100 degrees. He's like, wrong. You can change the boiling point of water if you change the variables around water. If you suspended in a different space or in a different liquid, you can change the boiling point of water. But we never knew that. It changed. The science on it changed with time.
Yeah.
No,
Just like in
pressure, if you adjust the pressure around it, the atmospheric pressure.
So it
if you
was
if you
considered
increase
it was considered a scientific fact that water boils at 100 degrees.
that's a atmospheric pressure.
Yeah. So in
No, but the
philosophy of
point is,
science,
Yeah.
the
yeah,
point
in
is when
philosophy
they
of
don't have an
science,
answer for something, they tend to say science will figure that out, even if they
Yeah.
have zero basis for it.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said before, we could learn something scientifically that changes how we see things.
Look at what Nathan said. He said, I'm genuinely sad how you people don't even know what a black hole is. You know, there was a video I was watching the other day about how they came up with this concept of the black hole. And the scientists actually say they came up with this concept of black hole because they needed answers for certain things, such as gravity. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
yeah,
They literally came up with this idea of black hole to cover the areas that they could not answer for.
Yeah.
Like scientists, like they say that loudly. They don't even hide that. And then you have these faithful believers acting as though they have, I don't know, you tell me.
This thing about black hole, yeah. So there's a comment there by Nathan saying it's sad that we don't know what a black hole is. Like, I think, well, to be honest, I don't know exactly what a black hole is, but I've been fed information by sources that have given me an idea what a black hole is, but I don't study black holes. I mean,
Should I show you what the scientists say? Should I play that?
Yeah, but Nathan might be an astrophysicist who understands black holes to the T.
I promise you he doesn't.
I don't believe that.
I promise you he doesn't.
He might really know, or he might have been fed something on some YouTube channel or some blog or something and gone, oh yeah, now I know what black holes are.
Actually, I'm gonna play this video now. You guys continue.
Right. Because yeah, like we were saying
Like I
before,
want to ask him when he says we literally know what a black hole is. I want to ask him, how do you know it? Who proved it to you? And what did you use to prove what a black hole is? How do you know all
like
this?
we know.
How do you observe it? How do you test it?
We know what a black hole is.
Tell me, what do you know about this black hole other than simply saying black hole?
Yeah.
To fill in the blanks.
Hey, I don't know if you were on
there's
earlier.
another filling, guys. There's another fill in the blanks that they're doing lately as well. I'm telling you, this atheism stuff is a proper religion now. Another fill in the blanks they're doing lately, yeah, is when they don't have an answer for something, when they can't respond for something, they will tell you it's an emergent property, an emergent law. Is that not fill in the blanks? Is that not what they used to accuse theists and say, oh, when you guys don't understand something in nature, you just say God did it. All right, well, you guys are now saying it's just emergent. What's the difference?
Yeah, they're just saying nature did it.
They're just saying it's emergent, bro. And they're using the word emergent because they know they can't just say it just popped into existence, which is exactly what they're saying.
I agree with Mr. Word. He says most of the things about space is speculative. So if you like destroy all the sciences and all the religions and all the books in the world, that doesn't mean that God suddenly stopped existing. God is still gonna exist, even if you have no science.
Yeah, and you can come to that logic without science.
What comes first?
Yeah,
Science
it's a philosophical.
Maybe think about it this way. Philosophically speaking, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because most of these people screaming science, science, science have absolutely no.
Did we lose him? Yeah. Am I still on?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear
so
him.
it was breaking up as well. Claim that infinite cannot exist. This is why it's crying so hard right now. Yeah, because existence. So Nathan said that Mavericks claim that infinites cannot exist. In my opinion, existence was created. So anything that is created cannot be infinite because
Yes.
it was created. You first prove that they are infinite. Exactly. Yeah. So the if you claim that they are infinite, you have to prove that they are infinite. And we had a comment earlier where someone said, if a black hole came into existence today, then yesterday it wasn't infinite. So how can it be infinite today? And he says, no, yesterday it wasn't infinite. Like, that's just contradictory.
I'm glad Tabaxa is asking, putting it on them. They keep saying that black holes are infinite. Go ahead, prove it.
Man,
How
see,
would you prove it?
that's just dogmatic, just like he's says religious people are dogmatic. He's like, that's the definition of a black hole in high school. What?
He
That's
needs
not
it.
proof. That's not evidence, man. That's not evidence. Just because a word is defined in this way.
Yeah. So,
you know, when he says definition, yeah, like, you know, people that argue for like dictionary definitions and whatnot, what they don't understand is dictionary is descriptive. It's not prescriptive.
Yeah. In high school, they defined to us that gravity is what Isaac Newton told us it is, but that's not how it is today. It's Einstein's theory of gravity.
Exactly. The idea, bro. I'm telling you, we need to keep doing this, fam. We need to keep doing this. They have the worst of arguments, man.
And for me, like the theory of a creator is more philosophical than science or religion or anything else. It's a more of a philosophical thing for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. We can put religion and science aside.
Yeah,
it's
this is
nothing to
about
do with
philosophy.
religion.
Because we end up just circling the same arguments with science.
Have you guys watched the debate? There was a couple of it's called Thought Adventure, something like that channel. Jake Brancatella, a couple of Muslims basically, and they had a debate with this guy called Aaron Ra, and he's he's big in the atheist community and whatnot.
Yeah,
bro.
I've seen his debates.
If you guys watch the video, bro, I'm telling you, these people have absolutely zero education of any kind when it comes to philosophy. Zero, bro. Man couldn't even like identify what his epistemology was.
There's
There's nothing consistent.
He doesn't use what's called philosophy of science, which tells us how science works.
Yeah, and also science is all the most accurate information we have to date, but they don't just put down the lab coats.
Yeah.
Once they've finished that, they try and get more accurate and more accurate, and the more accurate it gets, we end up throwing out the old books and using the new book.
Let me show you that this is philosophical. What comes first, the logic or the science?
Yeah,
the science came from the logic.
Yeah.
So the logic is an axiom, basically. It's something that you need. It's something that we are equipped with.
Even before logic, I think even before logic, there needs to be consciousness.
Yeah. Even before that.
You can't explain consciousness with science. I don't think you can explain consciousness.
No.
Yeah, and self-consciousness as well, because I think there's a difference between someone who thinks they know something and someone who has some sort of idea of their knowledge. So to elaborate on that, so for example, if I say I know the measurement of something, that's only what I know, and I might be wrong. Anything I say I know, I might be wrong.
Now we can identify the type of atheist that Jeffrey Jones is, because he reduced consciousness to literally, he called it, literally just electrical signals between neurons. What do you think among the academics that are studying this topic? Do you think they speak like him?
So, like, if you made a robot,
look at the type of people we're dealing with, bro.
Yeah.
So if you made a robot and you put electrical signals in the robot's brain or microprocessor, does he have consciousness? Does he know he exists, the robot?
These are the type of atheists that really just
And also,
it's ridiculous.
If that's the case, eventually, then we should be able to make humans.
Yeah.
Construct people and conscious beings.
He didn't give it the slightest of thought, bro. He just said it.
He went to school through a neurology degree. Okay, so neuroscience. Okay, so basically, he's saying that all consciousness is through. Why do you get a gut feeling? Why do you shit yourself when you're scared if consciousness is all in your head?
What about
let's see what the big scientists have got to say about consciousness.
The whole body.
Since he spoke so nonchalantly about it.
Yeah, so he's saying that all your consciousness is in your brain and it's all electrical signals. Why do we consciously feel emotions throughout our whole body?
Why do different people feel different kinds of music differently? Like, I would like dance music or house music, trance music. Someone would like hip hop music. Why? If it's all electrical signals.
And we'll be able to program ourselves.
Yeah.
And if it's a neuroscientist as well, then basically they'd understand that neuroscientists know next to nothing about the brain, because they can take out a lot of the brain and the person can still function with consciousness and very well. So consciousness is not necessarily in the brain.
Oh man. Just because everyone doesn't like to see that. Why?
Yeah, so
why
Jeffrey, explain why a neurosurgeon can basically take out a lot of your brain and you can still be just as conscious.
Extra spending money online. Brand.
Okay, here we go.
Are you guys ready for this? Yo,
I was born ready for consciousness.
No, right, yeah. So I'm quoting. Is it Sam Harris? And so when I'm saying about neuroscientists not knowing much about the brain, and the reason why they've not put their lab coats down is because they've got a lot more to discover. Neuroscience that is studied today is very new. So I do like to learn a bit about neuroscience. So I'd listened to some podcasts, and from listening to Sam Harris, I think it is, who's got the Making Sense podcast, he talks about how very little we know about the brain and consciousness. And I think Maverick's just about to pull up a video there that's going to explain how little we do know about it.
different things by consciousness.
And Jeffrey, to be honest, after your comment,
and baffling.
After the comment of saying no, it wasn't infinite yesterday, but it's infinite today.
It's not.
Right. Yes, the mystery of consciousness. Well, I don't think it's that baffling. I think one of the surprising things about it is that it is understandable. In fact, I would even say that the outlines of an explanation are already here. I think that many neuroscientists actually are also, they may not know it, but they're espousing a view of consciousness as mystery as well. One of the most common approaches in neuroscience is that the brain somehow produces this magical essence that arises from it. And neuroscientists are trying to figure out how do you hook neurons up in the right way such that they resonate, and then like a heat, something emerges out of it, right? So even in neuroscience, perhaps with less philosophical reflection, there's still this kind of funny mystery if you approach it from the wrong way. How can you approach consciousness or awareness? Let's say I like the word awareness better because it's a little less loaded. People mean so many different things by consciousness, but by awareness, I am aware of something, and maybe there's a little clearer understanding of what that means. So what does that mean to be aware of something? And one possible approach to that is to look at the way that we use awareness, this construct of awareness. And one use that is not often studied, talked about, is in a social context. We use awareness socially, and by that I mean I attribute awareness to you, right? And
so you can understand my motivations or predict what I may do, a theory of mind.
Yes. So theory of mind. So in social psychology and in social neuroscience, there's a giant field, giant area of study of me figuring out what you're thinking, what you might do next, what your emotions are. But there's a part of it that's not often studied, and that is me attributing awareness to you, right? The awareness part. In fact, it's very hard for me to figure out that you intend to do something like pick up a sandwich unless I also understand that you're aware of the sandwich. So it's a very basic part of social perception that is often missed. I attribute awareness to you. The way that works is so you're paying attention to something. Right now you're paying attention to me. I know that. It's the way your eyes are looking and your body language and the context. All these cues tell me that you're paying attention to me. And by attention, I mean something very specific. I mean that your brain is focusing its processing resources on me. So it's something internal and mechanistic. It's internal to your brain. But I can tell that because of these cues that I pick up. And based on those cues, then I build a kind of model of what's going on in you, right? And that model is you're aware of me. You have a kind of inner experience of me.
And this would have been built through evolution and it has fitness benefits, through cohesion benefits, all sorts of things that favor this and select for these qualities.
Exactly. And I would say the main benefit is it allows me to predict your behavior. So it's part of the prediction.
So if I pick up a sandwich or I pick up a rock, you want to know the difference.
Yes. And if we're in a fight, I want to know whether you're aware of that nice handy rock, in which case you might pick it up and hit me with it. So I attribute awareness to you as a way of modeling or understanding your state of attention. Right? And that's very interesting because it starts to suggest that what awareness is useful for is a kind of simple way of keeping track of a much more complicated process of attention. So attention is very mechanistic, very complicated, going on in your mind, or in your brain, I should say. And I use this much simpler notion of awareness to try to model it and keep track of it. Right?
So awareness then is, in the social sense, is the capability of discerning how the other is focusing their attention. Because I need to know that information for my social interaction, maybe for my physical well-being.
So when I think to myself, "You're aware," what I'm really doing is drawing, in a sense, a cartoon sketch of your state of attention. Awareness is the model of attention.
Now, that's interesting. Now, can you then apply that internally?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. And that kind of leads to this hypothesis. First of all, maybe the same brain mechanisms that I use to attribute awareness to you are being used when I attribute it to myself. Right? Maybe I think I'm aware in the same way, in the same brain region. I think you are aware. And second of all, maybe its utility is that it acts as a model or a way of monitoring and keeping track of my state of attention. Right? So I can apply that to myself. I can apply that to you. One of the interesting things about this social perception, or my attributing awareness to you, it's not an intellectual game or an exercise, right? It's not that I cleverly figured out. It's a gut certainty, right? It's almost like you have something in you that's emanating out of you. Much as when I attribute awareness to myself, it's also kind of a gut certainty. I have this thing in me, and of course, it comes with all these kind of the sense of something in me that can emanate out of the eye, and all these other mythological aspects that are attached to consciousness.
What do you call this theory?
This I call the attention schema theory. It's a very simple theory. So,
of awareness.
It says that awareness is a model or a schema, as it's sometimes called, that's constructed by the brain, and it describes something in a cartoonish or simplified way. It describes something else. The thing it's describing is attention, this mechanistic process of selecting signals.
So does it make sense to ask which came first, the social requirement to use awareness so I can understand the attention of the other for self-protection when that was selected for, or whether it came first internally and then I applied it externally?
Yeah, that's a great question. If I had to guess, I would say modeling oneself comes first. And the story that I would give would go something like this. Attention evolved quite a long time ago. And we have some sense of that because if you look across clades and groups of animals, insects have something like attention. And mammals and birds, and so all these creatures diverged from each other about 500 million years ago. And it's somewhere in that time span, sometimes called the Cambrian explosion, about 550 million years ago, when nervous systems became sophisticated enough to have this ability to select some signals over others. So attention starts to emerge. And as soon as that happens, there must be some use to building an internal model of what attention is, so you can keep track of your own attention. And so I would guess that the rudiments of this thing that we now think of as awareness emerged very, very gradually, starting way back 500 million years ago. It's a very gradual progression. And at some point in that progression, once we had a very effective and sophisticated way of modeling our own states, we could then use that same machinery and start modeling the states of other individuals.
Here's a problem I would have with that, because I think I see a little daylight between the way you define awareness and the way others may define consciousness. I'm not sure that's right. Okay. Because awareness, as you've constructed with attention, seems to work well. But are you capturing what others mean by consciousness in this sense of quality? I was going to say the quality of the inner experience, because you could have the reaction of awareness in a reflexive way, rather than an appreciation for the inner moving. Awareness can be such that it can direct attention almost in a robotic sense without the inner moving.
So we at the moment we're studying mostly the relationship between awareness and vision. That's what almost everyone studies. Vision is so well understood; it's just a lot easier to study that. And in vision, attention is something that can operate at many different levels, including what we think of as bottom-up attention. By bottom-up, I mean a bright thing flashes or something jiggles, and an automatic drawing of your attention. Right? But one of the things you find is that even that requires some control, and maybe a very fast control, but this bottom up, this seemingly instantaneous drawing of attention to something requires some degree of control. And we think that good control requires some degree of awareness. So you can have these very strange cases that have been studied, for the last maybe 2 decades. These strange cases where you can actually pay attention to something and not be aware of it. Right? It's very interesting. You can separate those two. And what we think is going on in the data is that in that case, you may be attending to it, but you have very poor control over that attention because your brain essentially doesn't know you're paying attention to it because it lacks its model or description of attention. And that's so whether it's this immediate kind of something jingles and snags your attention, or whether it's more internally generated attention on something.
Doesn't that support a difference though between awareness and consciousness?
Between awareness and attention. Yes. The one
you're paying attention to it.
Yes.
Because you have to react to it.
Yes.
You're not aware of it.
That's right.
It depends on how you're defining aware. And I'm a little troubled by the relationship between awareness and consciousness. Are you capturing with your theory, which sounds to work terrifically, really fascinating, but I'm just not sure you're capturing everything in consciousness with your definition of awareness.
Yeah, I think it does a good job, actually. Although, to pursue all those different connections it takes a long time, and I eventually discovered it took a whole book. But one of the things that I try to get at in this theory is that we have a lot of intuitions about awareness, about what it is and what it's like. You might say a mythology about awareness. For example, a very common belief that it's something that's almost plasma or energy-like, and it's sort of invisible and it is inside of you, and it comes out of the eyes and touches things. And we sort of smile at that. It turns out almost all children think that visual awareness comes out of the eyes. And if you ask college students, something like 2/3 of them think this as well, which is shocking. Why is that? This is a puzzle. And I would argue it's because we have this internal model that informs us that that's how our attention works. And so we can't help those kinds of inner intuitions. It's almost like the intuition we have that white light is pure and scrubbed of all color. Right? We have that intuition because that's the information available to our brains. Our brains construct this somewhat false model. So these very mystical kind of intuitions we have about awareness, that it's a kind of energy-like floaty thing that can come out of the eyes, that it's private, that it's a non-physical inner experience, that it has the subjective quality to it, an ineffable quality. All these things can be explained as properties described by the model, and accessing that information, that's all we have to work on. That's what we report. So this kind of approach does a fairly good job, actually. It's one of its strengths, and it does a fairly good job of getting at these kind of the phenomenal aspects of awareness.
Yo,
Yes.
did you guys go to sleep?
No. Were you guys watching?
No, the video was lagging too much. I just caught like some parts of it. But the most interesting part, when he, like, right from the beginning, he said he made it so simple, like consciousness is basically awareness. So he sort of changed the definition of consciousness.
Yeah, and he caught him on that. The reporter caught him on that.
Yeah. He again brought it back to consciousness in the next question, the interviewer. It's a different thing. Consciousness is not awareness.
Yeah. I also put a comment for a link of a neuroscientist claiming that consciousness is not produced by the brain. So there you go. There's a
Sorry, what? Sorry,
difference of
can you repeat
opinion.
that?
I've just put a link in the comment
consciousness
of
is
the
not
video,
repeat.
and a neurosurgeon is claiming that consciousness is not produced by the brain.
There's another video if you guys got energy for it.
Bro, it's lagging too much, like the videos.
Okay, why don't you share it then? Can you share it from yours?
I can try. Hold on.
Yeah, just go to closer to truth. Let me get out of mine.
What's the name of the
Closer to truth.
Yeah, which video?
The hard problem of consciousness. Vegeta's in the house. Peace, peace, Vegeta.
Assalamu alaikum, bro.
Peace, my brother. How you
doing?
Hard problem of consciousness, Rebecca Goldstein. Oh, isn't this the wife of this one famous atheist scientist? She was having a conversation with that Christian guy, William Lane Craig. Oh man, he destroyed her.
Nathan said maybe that's why the like-dislike ratio is so bad. I don't know who you're mistaking us for. I don't give a damn. But yeah. Where were we? Yeah, can you play it, ING?
1 second. Yeah, let me share my share screen.
Bro, you see in the Quran, yeah?
Yeah.
There's no mention of atheists, bro.
There is.
Bro, where?
When it asks the question, were they created by themselves or did they create the universe?
Yeah, so that means they're calling themselves God, or they're calling the universe God, bro.
Yeah, so
Yo, is it playing my screen?
People have faith in something. People are believing.
Wait, let me add to stream. Yeah, it's playing now.
Alright. Tell me how the thing is, the video quality.
Okay. Sounds quite low.
I was gonna say, are you sharing the sound?
No. Unmute yourself. I think that's gonna work better.
No?
So it's okay now. It's okay. Put the volume up.
It's full, bro.
What kind of changes do you see?
Wait, let me mute myself up.
Perhaps I'm ashamed to admit that I have the same position which I started out with, which is that we don't know the intrinsic qualities of matter that we came upon in the 17th century, basically, with actually some prodding from Plato, who thought that mathematics was the key. Mathematics is the key. You know, that Pythagorean intuition that then was transferred to Plato, and then arose with came into a real method of physics in Galileo, and then Sir Isaac Newton. That there are certain aspects of our experience that are capturable in mathematical language. Those are the real properties of matter, and using them, developing, then we can get to equations and also, complicated new properties, all of them expressible in mathematics. We have been matter has revealed itself to us in many ways, and in ways that give us a great control over nature. Technology, computers.
Let me give you
a quick spectrum of all of the kinds of radically different ideas to explain this hard problem of consciousness, see where we fall along this spectrum. So at the one end, I don't know if it's the left or the right, we're only getting involved in politics, say the left, is that, neuroscience at the cellular level with biochemicals and the synapse and understanding all of that, neuronal circuitries in the brain, etc. At some point, that'll be able to explain consciousness. So that's one. Second view says that no, there has to be something more fundamental about matter itself, that we don't have enough information, that will never work. It will never explain so-called qualia. But there has to be something, it's all physical, it's all natural. Methodological and metaphysical naturalism is true, but it is bigger and there's more there than usual. Then we go on to panpsychism, where there's something fundamentally in reality that is parallel to the physical kind of matter. It's proto panpsychism or cosmopanpsychism, different categories as you know, but that's something fundamental. Then you go on to that there's another dimension, a spiritual dimension, real substance dualism, maybe a religious component. And then ultimately, maybe the fifth approach would be idealism, that at the end of the day, everything is derived from consciousness. And it's not how do you get consciousness from matter, it's how, the big mystery is how you got matter from consciousness.
That's a nice rundown, yes. I don't know, I would, I'm somewhere between your second and third, I guess I would.
Okay, so that there's something that we need to find out about matter that's bigger than what is there, but it's still metaphysical naturalism. It's still matter, but it's a matter in a bigger sense.
Exactly, yeah. That's, and that we really, at this point, don't even know how to think about it. Yeah, the argument that I was developing there was that, since mathematics has so guided our conception of matter, but mathematics gives us kind of relational properties. This was Bertrand Russell's argument, and that, but the intrinsic properties of matter are we don't get at those. The only way that we are getting at those is by being these material things that have consciousness. So we have this interior view of it, but that gives us nothing to analyze in terms of the properties of matter. So we're kind of stumped. And I think the stumping is itself revelatory.
I like that. This is something with revelatory. All right. Well, look. The deal is, if you get an additional revelation, you have to send me an email, and we will do this session again. Hopefully sooner than the.
At least she's honest. Hello.
These women talk the most shit, bro. I swear down there.
She's a wife of a famous atheist scientist.
I don't even know what point she made, man. Maybe I'm not smart enough, but I think these women, bro, they talk the most shit, bro. They just blab on. The women from Pind, or the Pindkudi, they're a bit smart. You could listen to them. These ones, bro, the ones they have brainwashed. Hey, but bro, listen. You see
Where's
the Quran,
everyone?
bro. Now, Imguru, listen to me, bro.
Yeah, I just came back. What I miss?
Yeah, basically the long and the short of the video was they're stumped on consciousness. Yeah? हाँ भाई बोल क्या बोल रहा है?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know with this consciousness thing. I've got a video there of a neurosurgeon basically explaining that the brain does not create consciousness. It's not on a Christian-based thing. I don't know if you've heard of Larry King, who's got a show in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's on his show basically from a neurosurgeon. I don't know if you want me to share it.
Yeah, why not? But they all say it, to be honest. That's not.
Yeah, it's the same again. So like we're just repeating the same thing again. It's like we're not saying, like me personally, I won't say to someone who claims to have studied neuroscience, who says the brain does create consciousness. I would just say that it's not confirmed by all other scientists and other neurosurgeons. It's still not.
Not one of them can claim that. There's no evidence for that.
Yeah, they won't confirm. They can claim it, but they won't be able to substantiate their claim.
Yeah. And a claim without substantiation, who cares for it?
It's a moot point. Cow's opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah, I did try to share the link, but YouTube won't allow it. It's just not posting that comment.
Drop it in this place, isn't it?
Yeah, I put it in the private chat here. I dropped it in the private chat here.
Oh, it's there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, there is no worse argument than atheism. There's no argument for it.
Bro, atheism don't exist, bro. It don't exist, bro.
Yeah, you got to believe in something.
Bro, look, I'm saying even the Quran, bro. You see the Christians are mentioned. Bro, Christians are mentioned, Jews are mentioned, Sabians are mentioned, Magians are mentioned, Mushrikeen are mentioned.
You're breaking up, Maverick. Yeah.
Yeah, he's breaking up.
Yeah, we can't hear you at all, Maverick. Completely gone.
Yeah, but Vegeta, like in the beginning, like if you open up Surah Baqarah, the first 4 or 5 verses, it says people who won't believe, like if you tell them or you don't tell them about God, it doesn't make a difference. They won't believe. So I think maybe that's talking about atheists.
Well, Summum Bukman Umyun.
Before that.
Well, let me check it.
Yeah, but that's basically what it says after that. It says someone booked one onion in, I think, the next verse or two. But there was a verse dropped in the comments, 2308. Oh, that's directed to another comment.
Yeah.
But there is, like, if when it says if you ask them, did they make themselves or were they made? So that's also addressing the atheist beliefs of today.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. But someone can claim to be atheist, but I would then say that they're believing in something.
Bro, the ayah says, this one, yeah? Indeed, those who disbelieve, it is all the same for them whether you warn them or do not warn them. They will not believe. That doesn't mean they're atheists, bro. That could be kuffar. You get me?
Bro, you see, the thing is, you know, when you say that doesn't mean they're atheists, like, who's God asking whether they created themselves other than atheists?
The thing is, even kuffar believe in a god,
Exactly.
Hindu god.
That question can only be directed at atheists.
Quiet, yeah.
Vegeta. The question, what's it called? Did you create yourselves, or did you create the heavens? That can only be directed towards atheists, don't you think?
Vegeta.
I would have. Yeah, I think he's muted himself. The juice is muted. Oh, he's gone. But it's true, yeah. So a Christian doesn't think he created himself. and etc. etc.
Exactly, yeah. So that's just atheist, 100%.
Maverick, you should watch William Lane Craig, the Christian guy.
I do. I like his
Yeah,
argument.
yeah, he's a pretty good argument.
Very good.
The Kalam cosmological argument.
You know, speaking of Kalam cosmological arguments, see, this is one of the things I love about the Quran, yeah. You know how people worry about the Kalam cosmological arguments and the arguments of contingency, etc., etc. The two questions that God asks in the Quran is really enough. Did you create yourself, or did you create the heaven and earth? That's bottom line what it comes down to, isn't it?
Yeah, bottom line, it's a personal endeavor. Do you take up your own logic and search yourself, or do you go and ask questions and expect someone else to give you the answer?
You know, people ask me, like, I think Tabaxa was asking earlier on, like, how do you know there is a God? And how sometimes I'm in doubt, etc., etc. I find this question, I think people look at it from a different, from the wrong angle, because it's not a matter of having faith in God. It's a matter of there is no alternative. Like, you're forced.
Well, let's consider there is an alternative, and where does that take us?
No, but when you say let's consider there is an alternative, and where does that take us? You could be accused of bias, because someone could say, "Oh, you don't like the idea of where it takes you," blah blah blah. But my thing is, I'm willing to accept that there is no purpose for life. When we die, and that is the final. That's the end of it. I'm willing to accept that. Like, there's no emotional connection here. But the point is, rationally, you just can't explain, like it says in the Quran, we didn't create ourselves, and we didn't create the heaven and earth.
Yeah.
Then there needs to be answers. And there's no way of answering it.
Yeah, that's what I meant by saying where does it take us, because what's the reason to continue the pursuit of knowledge if everything just is happening anyway? What's the reason why?
You know, that one is good though. There is no alternative. That what Maverick said, there is no alternative. Because when you ask them, what's the evidence for a lack of God or no God, they got nothing.
And
they got no alternative.
I mean that. They literally, like, even if you gave them, you know what, play with it. Like, use your mind to the best of your ability. You have this thing called universe. Like, give me, like, talk as much bullshit as you want and give me this universe. Like, just explain how it's possible in any way, shape, or form without a creator. And watch what happens to them. Like, you saw these scientists when they were answering these questions. Like, did you see how they were, like, really suffering, like, with every answer? If you do this, maybe, if you allow this, do you see how tough it was?
You know that guy Hitchens? He was like a flying spaghetti monster. But that is his God. He is confirming God. He just calling God flying spaghetti monster.
Exactly. There you go.
There's no alternative.
See, Tabax is asking, look, he said, take me down the path if there is a God. Tabaxa, see, it doesn't even need to be sold. You try and explain this universe without a God. Like, I literally don't need to sell it to you. Like, you try and have this universe without a creator of it. You try fathom that. You try to make sense of that in any way, shape, or form. Try it. Is it me? Is it just me?
I don't know, man. Like, as human beings, I think we have this instinct, like this innate desire to reach out to God, reach out to something higher than ourselves.
Something Tabaxi said on his last couple of comments is saying, firstly, take me down the path. I'm willing to submit to him. And then it says, I don't want to follow blindly. And basically, that's just is answering his own question. No one can take you down the path. You need to go and make that step.
Yeah, you need to walk the path
where it takes you. Yeah. And the only if you are seeking for someone to take you down the path, it's going to be God, because it's God's path. No one else can show you it. We're just trying to have discourse to show how we came about this logic and to try and understand other people's logic. I don't feel like, necessarily like we have similar thoughts and ideas between people, like within groups and stuff, so we'll agree with stuff. But at the end of the day, if someone misguides me, that's my fault. I'm the one that's allowing myself to be misguided.
Ahmed, check this out, yeah? It makes more sense to doubt your own existence than to doubt God's existence.
Yeah. The Matrix theory.
Think about it. Because you can't be without a cause. You can't.
That's deep, bro.
The French philosopher, René Descartes, he said, like, his phrase, cogito ergo sum, like, I think, therefore I am, which is because I'm thinking, that means I exist. And then Nietzsche came many years later, and he's destroyed his theory. He's like, you need to prove the I before you prove the I think. So before anything else, you need to prove, like, you. What is you? How do you get the you that you're talking about?
But Nietzsche, was he an atheist?
Hardcore.
Yeah.
He's the atheist prophet.
He was big time one. Another thing.
There is no making sense of it.
You see, when these arguments, when you see these debates, you got for God, you have argument for design, argument for morality, argument contingency, argument kalam argument. You know what I mean? What argument do they have?
Every single argument leads you to God. This is why it doesn't need to be solved. There's no way out. That's what baffles me with atheists.
The thing with the atheist arguments is, like, they're very nice on the surface, like they, especially the people pushing them, like Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris, they're really, like, they know how to speak to you. They're proper eloquent people, and they can sell you that idea really well.
No, they don't.
And then
they ain't got no arguments, bro.
And then, I mean, yeah, of course, like, if you go deep into their arguments, it's really superficial, but they know how to speak, and they know how to appeal to people by saying, oh, because God exists, there's bad, so that means God is a bad God, or things like that. They push it on people.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
In a good way.
Eloquent speakers.
Yeah. But yeah, man.
Yeah, because you see it in, like, how those arguments that those discussions that we watched on the videos, the reason why they have such eloquent language is because they're having to go around certain issues that they're dodging in order to come to the conclusions that they've come to.
Yeah, like the guy calling consciousness awareness. He sort of went around it.
Yeah, they tried to do it nice, like, oh, I'm going to do us a favor and make it easier for us. But in reality, it's like he's trying to use that language to swerve
Like he's trying to
Or
make it more. He's trying to make it more material in a sense by using awareness.
Yeah, he tried it. And 1 second, Tabaxa asked another question. Yeah, he said, "What makes the cause the God that we know through Scripture?" Watch this. Yeah, the Quran. The Quran is number one, universal. Number two, it's demonstrable. Literally everything in the Quran is demonstrable. It's a universal, demonstrable, and number three, it has falsification tests to prove that it cannot have come from man. What more do you want?
And besides, like, you don't need the Quran to find out about God. For example, even in the Quran, it says
It's just a reminder.
Ibrahim sat down and thought about the sky and the stars and the universe, and then he came to his own conclusion. Oh God.
I'm glad that you said that, because that's precisely why I said the Quran is demonstrable. Literally everything in the Quran, like for example, when the Quran reminds you of God, it simply tells you to look at nature. Precisely what Abraham did. So that's demonstrable. In terms of the teachings of the Quran, they are demonstrably good for you. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's all demonstrable, and it's demonstrably universal. And it's demonstrable, and it has falsification tests to demonstrate that it cannot be from man. What more do you want?
Hadouken.
Yeah.
Those guys just dance, bro. You know, when they're answering questions, they dance around the question, bro. They do that golden buzzer performance in that. They just move around it, bro. Like, they use all these next big words in that. They're talking shit, bro. You know what I mean?
Well, I find the biggest problem is that, like, they'll come across as if they're questioning, but what they're doing is they're questioning someone else's logic, and they're not testing their own logic. So, for example, if I'm gonna come to someone and not want to learn, and basically, like, I felt if I wanted to come to the conclusion of a creator, it's something that I had to understand myself. So if I'm going to question someone, it's not to break them down and to win a conversation. It's basically just to come and figure it out for myself. And I feel generally that the line of questioning is not, it's not trying to figure things out, it's trying to just put things down. It's destructive rather than constructive, because, for example, the argument of who created the creator, it's like saying who watered the water. The water is water. You can't water the water. You can't make it more water, if you know what I mean. Water can't produce more. I might have lost myself there a little bit.
You mean like how did the water get wet?
Yeah, how did the water get wet? Yeah, exactly. That's more of a precise analogy, because if you're going to claim that there is the creator, then the creator is the one that creates. There's no creator of the creator. How can you even come to that? If you're questioning theology, how can you even go down that line and sincerely be seeking that answer? How can you find a conclusion when your line of questioning is so out there Like, or what? Honestly, it's just far out for me. It's far out for me. It's some of the arguments that come out is very low level of thinking. It's very destructive.
I think it needs, for me, it needs more faith to believe there is no God than you need to believe there is a God. You need a lot more faith.
Yeah, because if a scientist was to question his findings all the time, he wouldn't come to a conclusion. He'd just go and say, okay, the things are just the way they are, and there's no reason for it. But a scientist has to come to a conclusion. So even if it's not the most accurate conclusion, it has to come to a conclusion at some point. So it's the same, like, if you're going to question whether there's a creator, how can you go further down the line and say, oh, then there's a creator of a creator? If I figured out it's water, then I can't say, oh, no, it must not be water. I mean, I need to, what makes the water water? I mean, obviously that is something that we can study in science because it's material matter and it is constructed of things, but a creator of a creator?
Yeah, man. How's atheism doing tonight?
Bro, the Quran doesn't mention atheists, bro. Even this, the
Why do
ayah
you
in
keep
Surah
saying
Araf.
that?
Bro, check it. Surah Araf, right? Allah asked all the humans, am I not your Lord? And every single one said yes. Right?
What?
So
Oh, so you're
atheism
saying
don't
they're lying?
exist. That's one thing. Second thing is, bro, you see the Christians are mentioned, Jews are mentioned, Sabians, Magians, Mushrikeen. Atheists is not mentioned, bro, because these mans don't exist. And even the Quran talks about, have you seen those that worship their desires? All right, that's one of them.
Hold on. 1 second. 1 second. First and foremost, when the Quran mentions the Jews and the Ansar and the Jews are not religions. They are names of communities.
What are Mushrikeen?
The Mushrikeen is an adjective. It just means those who associated partners with God.
Like when it says Nasara, Nazarenes, it's the people who came from Nazareth, and Jews are the people of Judea.
Exactly.
And Sabians are the king from the kingdom of whatever, Sheba or Sabin, I don't know exactly.
God does not recognize religions.
All right, fair enough, but where's atheist mentioned?
See, again, atheist would be like the word atheist. God does not he describes what they do. So, for instance, he says, "Did you create yourself, or did you create the universe?" Who is that directed to, other than atheists?
Yeah. But what that means is, those people either calling themselves God or they're calling the heavens God. Meaning, there's no such thing as an atheist, bro. They're gonna be enslaved to something.
That would still be an atheist. Even if you say, for argument's sake, they call themselves God and they call the heavens God, that's still an atheist.
That's a mushrik, bro.
But
No,
if they call themselves God, then people would just laugh at them. Like, you can't just
exactly.
you can't just say. Yeah.
No, because some people saying it that everything is God. Everything is God, right? The universe is God.
Yeah.
Pantheism. So there's no such thing as atheists, bro. These guys talking shit, bro. Then they're mushriks. That's what they are. They're mushriks.
If we're gonna be, don't get me started before I call you a mushrik.
No, but
It's on a deeper
Get it
level.
on, bro. I'm
So
still waiting for you.
it's like an onion. It's like an onion, basically. So if someone claims they're an atheist, it doesn't necessarily mean they behave like an atheist. They are controlled by something.
Yeah, they're controlled by laws in society or something.
Yeah, whether it's
some
themselves,
ideology.
they follow their own thing.
Bro, they call the
whatever.
white man God, basically, innit? The white man's their God.
I wouldn't go into race because I think that's just a bit.
Well, the West is the God.
Or modernism, maybe. Like they're just into what's going on today. They're caught up in the time.
Even the ayah that talks about, have you seen those that worship the desire?
One second,
Go
man.
ahead.
Tabaxa keeps asking about chapter 55, verse 33. Like he seems to think that is a problematic verse. Help him out, man. I don't get
55.
55 verse 33. Like it's so simple. I don't understand what he finds difficult.
O company of jinn and mankind, if you are able to pass beyond the regions of the heavens and the earth, then pass. You will not pass except by authority from Allah.
So what's the problem?
Seems like a standard verse, bro.
Like what is the problem? Even if you was to say, for argument's sake, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate. Even if he just looked at the first portion and not the second portion where it says except by authorization, and he goes, look, it says you cannot penetrate the heavens and mankind have done that. Just read the second portion, except by authorization. Done. See how quick that argument goes.
Yeah, shut down, bro.
Like it's so quick. What's the problem here? And secondly, the second argument could be where exactly is Allah referring to when he says the outer limits of heaven? Do you know?
Yeah. So the word there is sama, not Jannah, and then they put heaven in there to confuse things. So sama is the sky.
Yeah. So how would you know exactly where God is referring to when he says the outer limits of it?
Or by permissions, by figuring out the laws.
Now, either or, basically, the point I'm trying to say is there is no way of falsifying that verse.
Yeah. Read what I said about it. What did you say about it? Read carefully. Let me see. That evidence that the Quran is not inspired by man. Oh, is that verse evidence that it's not inspired by man? I think the whole book is evidence that it's not inspired by man, just by the way it's written and what.
No, he's saying the opposite, bro. He's saying because of that verse, it could have been inspired by man.
Look, if someone else can say that it is inspired by man, then go and write a book like it, the falsification test.
It's right there. One chapter like it. Not even a whole book, just one chapter like it.
Yeah, go and write 10 verses like it. Just write something that
something as small as Inna Atayna. Al-Kawthar, yeah. A chapter as small as that.
Yeah, and then yeah, maybe we would consider it, but it's not happened.
There's one Christian guy just tried to make it.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to say that. I mean, well, if there's not a problem, then why raise the verse? Why bring up the verse?
No, we're just trying to see what angle you're coming from, I think.
Yeah.
Different angles, so don't take it personally if we got it wrong.
Yeah, my bad. That ain't the intention. I mean, I'm trying to understand what is the issue with the verse.
I don't think we've caught exactly what he was saying. Yeah, I think I'm not sure if Tabax is an atheist, but I'd have to go back in the chat. Is he the one that
I
was
think
saying?
he's
No, he's not an atheist.
He's just questioning. I think he was
He's
saying
a Muslim. He just has
Salafi.
questions. That's normal.
He's
That's
from
all
a
right.
Salafi background and he's just asking questions because he's curious.
He's
So
suffering.
He's a mushrik.
He's suffering from PTSD after the Salafism.
He might just be playing
If he's-
devil's advocate or just genuinely trying to learn. Yeah.
If
So,
he's coming from a Salafi background, you're gonna have to ask too many questions. Way more than normal.
Yeah, exactly. So what he's saying is, how could men talk about space travel 1400 years ago? So exactly. So it just shows that the Quran's talking about space travel when people didn't have aeroplanes or anything.
No, that's a great point. Actually, my bad.
Yeah. So when people are talking about the heaven in the sky, then the Quran is telling them that if you figure out the laws, you can pass the sky. So how can heaven be the sky if you're gonna pass the sky?
Now I understand what the Backs is trying to say. He's basically saying, what would Muhammad be doing talking about the space and that time of age, basically, if it's not from God? Makes sense. Like, why would a dude in Arabia, in the desert, be talking about space and that?
Yeah.
1400 years ago. Come on. Yeah, he's got a great point there. My bad, Tabaxa, bro. My bad.
You're answering that.
So he's saying he still has doubt. Like, Tabax, in life, I find that I doubt myself all the time.
That's normal. It's part of being human.
The fact that I have decided to put my trust in my creator leaves me it relieves me of the burden of my self-doubt. So I know I will doubt myself because I'm trying to learn about myself. So one thing I've figured about myself is I have this self-doubt and it's hard for me to shake off. But because I have a trust that my creator understands me better than myself, I don't worry too much about the doubt. It's not a problem. I understand it's part of me, so I accept it. But I have to come to some sort of conclusion. I'm not just going to go through my life saying, oh, maybe I'll wait till the end and then decide.
You know that verse you mentioned, 55:33. You know when it says past the heavenly earth, can that also mean passing, as in looking into the sky, like, you know, astronomy and telescopes, so the knowledge itself?
It can mean all sorts.
I checked the word nafada. Let me just. Oh no. Right. To pierce through a thing, transpires, pass through, carry out, and go beyond. So, according to the lexicon, it means to go beyond in a way. So, it could mean differently, but to look beyond the skies. I'm not sure if they had looking glasses to be able to see things like the moon and planets because they knew about them, I think, in those days.
Yeah, I think that was way afterwards.
Was it after, was it less than 1400 years ago that they were doing astrology?
Yeah, after them, because they used to use stars for navigation in the desert.
Yeah, so they didn't have any glass. They didn't have the means of
Yeah.
making glass or
I
anything.
don't think so.
Right. Right. So it could mean even just visually. I
My
don't
thing
think it's
is,
exclusive.
there is one particular verse for me that makes it silly not to believe in God. It really, really makes it silly. And the verse for me is chapter 4, 147. It says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ما يفعل الله بعذابكم أن شكرتم وآمنتم وكان الله شاكرا عليما. So
What would
what
you do, or God? What would God do?
Go ahead, bro.
What?
No, go ahead, translate.
ما يفعل الله بعذابكم. So
Yeah.
what would be the punishment on you from God?
أن شكرتم.
If he didn't bless you, gratitude towards you, like.
Yeah, if you're grateful, أن شكرتم وآمنتم.
Yeah, and if you believe.
وكان الله شاكرا عليما.
Yeah, God is knowing and
God is appreciative.
Yeah, that's.
Was it chapter 4? Which ayah?
Chapter 4, 147.
I don't know. Yeah, so that basically shows a more accurate depiction of what somebody should envisage in their creator, because that's how naturally we would envisage it. Yeah. So what's happened in society is people end up thinking of God and they're thinking, oh, I'm going to go and get punished, and this God wants to scrutinize my every act and tell me everything that I did wrong, and it's just, it's really hard to please God.
That verse alone, by the way. Sorry to interrupt you, Ahmed. Just a quick one. Sorry to interrupt you. That verse alone disqualifies Sunnism, rituals of any kind.
Yeah, and
that verse alone.
Yeah, because that's profound to me, because it says that God is appreciative of us.
He's saying, what's the point of punishing you? Like, what would God do with that?
Yeah.
Think about it. What would God do with punishing you? As long as you are grateful and you trust in Him. And He is appreciative of you for that.
Yeah.
You see that? Look how beautiful that is.
Yeah, exactly. It's beautiful. It's the depiction of a creator that is realizable rather than a tyrant.
Right.
Because why would a creator just create such a beautiful existence and be a tyrant like these kings, queens, whoever we can, these people on earth, and what's happened here and what we've ended up doing to it. And then, we're taking that depiction of those leaders and then putting that onto the creator, when really in the Quran, the depiction of the creator is one that is asking, like,
He's too big. You cannot fathom him.
Just off that verse you've pulled off there.
Just off that verse alone, it just shows how grand he is. He's like, well, who are you? Like that verse alone, he's just showing who are you? What's the point of what's the point?
Yeah. I'm grateful for you. What am I going to punish you for? I'm grateful for you. If you're grateful and have taqwa.
And even when it comes to gratitude, he says, He doesn't wish ingratitude on you. See that? Because being ungrateful is not good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it's basically us being it's selfish in a way to be grateful because we know it improves us.
Exactly.
That's why we would be grateful. Why would we be grateful if it didn't improve us? If it didn't make our lives better by recognizing what we have to be grateful for?
Look at the amount of incentive you have as well. Like, for example, you'll have atheists that do good deeds because doing good deeds make you feel good. Look at the incentives you have. Incentive you have.
But also as well, like if this just did happen to come about without a creator, then this idea of gratitude, what does it serve? Why would we be grateful for anything if there was if we're just an organism on a speck in the middle of endless space?
Yeah, exactly. This is why the lack of gratitude, if you think about it, would have to lead to nihilism. How do you have no gratitude and it doesn't lead to nihilism? How would you avoid that?
By finding faith in something else. But yeah, no,
But then you can't avoid
being
the
grateful.
no. You find well, yeah, but then you're being grateful, aren't you? Even if you, but then
Yeah, you're
even that you
producing.
can't. Even that, the realization of an expiry date will come eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like you might be grateful for a certain thing for the moment, but after a while, that gratitude will disappear.
Yeah, well, how does it serve you if there's an end and it just ends? Why be grateful for anything?
Exactly.
And morals as well. People try to say like, "Oh, we live a moral life because that's best for societies and stuff like that, and that's how evolution works." Okay, but why?
I've even heard people say that they are grateful, but then you can only be grateful to someone. You can't be grateful to something. Do you see what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. Like if I'm an atheist right now,
Yeah.
like why would I be grateful to life? Grateful to who?
Right. So if you go for a walk on a hot day and you forgot to bring a drink, and then you find a spring, are you not grateful to the spring for being there?
Yeah, but that's dumb. It doesn't make sense because the spring didn't decide to be there. It
Oh
didn't
yeah,
do
no,
anything for you.
exactly. But I'm not speaking directly to the spring, but I'm just saying how you can be grateful for a thing rather than a person.
No, but it doesn't make sense though. You can't be grateful for a thing because you can only be grateful for something that is done for you. If there is no intent, there's nothing to be grateful for.
You mean the cause behind the thing?
Yeah. Like, how could you be
Yeah.
grateful? Like, when you say, okay,
Yeah,
let's say,
I'll be grateful because it quenched my thirst on a hot day and I didn't bring my water.
I know, but that has to lead to grateful to who?
Well, obviously, yeah. Obviously, I'm not saying that.
Try say what?
Pardon?
Try say grateful to who? Go ahead. Try answer that one. Grateful to who?
No, because the language properly is I'm grateful for the water, not to the water, because There's no point in being grateful to the water. I'm grateful for the water.
Okay, who are you saying that to? Because to even say that you're grateful for the water, that implies someone's giving it to you.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah.
The world is not possible.
This reminds me of God and his angels prayed to the prophet.
Yeah, and do you know what? We were talking about how people avoid things with words and they'll be nice and everything. It's exactly the same with that. So the language is clear, and the way that someone can try and explain that away while still upholding a ritual prayer is beyond me.
You know what? Speaking of the ritual prayer, yeah, there's one verse that I don't know somehow misses a lot of people. Check this out. What was that verse? Say my prayers, my sacrifice, my was it chapter 6, 162?
Are for God.
So it was. What was the Arabic?
Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamat. So my life and my death are all.
Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alamin. Yeah? Now here's the question now. Here's the question now, guys. Is it 4 or is it 2? So is it my prayers, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are for Allah, or is it to Allah?
For Allah.
But the problem then is you can't say your prayers are for Allah. You have to say your prayers are to Allah. Like you would pray for someone. You wouldn't pray for God. God does not need your prayer.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say for or to. Yeah, it's two. Yeah,
so li means for?
No, it's not a problem. You can choose either or. Either or, it becomes problematic. Because if you say
because it's neither, because there's no lamb before the, right. So it would have an extra lamb on the word, I reckon, for it to be 4 or 2. So it's owned by Allah. So it's basically saying it's in the possession of Allah, in my opinion, just looking at it like that.
Okay, even that becomes problematic. Because then okay, death, life is in his possession. Cool. How do you put prayer and sacrifice there? How is that in his possession? How is prayer something that you possess and sacrifice? I'm not sure I follow that.
As a ritual prayer. Yeah, it doesn't fit in many verses.
No, and as a word prayer, whether it's ritual or not, like how is it something that you possess? How is that something that God possesses? I mean, He chooses our life and death, but how is prayer something that He possesses?
I think if we say to God, it could make sense because we pray to God and then we
even that becomes problematic then. I'm glad that you mentioned that because even that becomes problematic. So if you say your prayers are to God, fine, but your sacrifices are to God and your life is to God and your death is to God, doesn't make sense.
Why not? Like
when you say, huh?
Yeah. What?
Go on. Like I'm not.
Like
The
I
lingo
mean,
doesn't make sense.
it could mean that like your life is to God. It like he says, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So we belong to God and to Him we will return. So that takes care of the life and the death. And
But wouldn't
then,
that be like your life is for God?
yeah, to Him, for Him,
Yeah.
like He's
Yeah.
the ultimate
As in it's his.
destination.
Yeah.
But you know, I
Death.
was thinking the other day, like, there's many people now who are saying that the Salat was a time when they came and sat down and the Prophet recited the Quran 3 times or 2 times a day, whatever. How do we get that from the Quran?
That's pretty simple, to be honest. If you look at 1778,
Yeah, Duluk Shams one.
yeah, it's addressing one individual. It's singular. It's not plural.
Okay, yeah. So it's saying to him that do the salah on this. But then what is this salah that he's been asked to do?
Good
How do we
question.
know that?
If you continue reading the verse, it mentions that salah involves the Quran.
Okay. So
Do you
it's
see that?
does it come afterwards? Like, do not be too loud. I think it's the same chapter, yeah. Do not be
No,
too
the
loud
same
or
verse.
too.
If you just look at 1778, as it mentions the Deluded Shamsi and all of that, it mentions in the morning the reading
Quran
of the
al-Fajr.
Quran is witnessed. Do you see that?
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a connection between the two. And then, are you satisfied? Or I can give you a more obvious one. Go
Like
to
if I was
29. Wait. Go to 29:45.
Is that the Utlu ma uhiya ilayka? Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that
Yeah,
that
recite.
literally tells you that reading the Quran and establish the Salah.
But still, like if I was like crazy, like if I could say, oh, you read the Quran in the prayer. What's wrong with that?
Oh, cool. No problem. We'll address that. First, do we agree that Salah and the Quran is the same thing?
Yeah, definitely. It involves remembrance, and then Quran is remembrance. So Quran is there. You can't take that out.
No. What we're trying to address here is 29:45 and 1778. Both of them make it evidently clear that it's addressing the Prophet, number one, and it's telling him to recite the Quran and to do so during Salah. That much is clear, is it not?
Yeah.
We agree on that, yeah?
Yeah, 29:45 is also in singular. Yeah.
Yes. So it's evidently addressing the messenger to do so, correct?
Yeah.
Any disputes about that?
No, that's
cool. And then from there we go to 17:106.
Quran, okay, Quran which we have sent down in which we have separated. So you can recite it over a prolonged period.
Recite it to who?
Ala muqsim wa nazzalnahu tanzila.
Recite it to who?
Or to the people over a prolonged period.
So the Quran is recited to the people. There is nowhere in the Quran does it tell you that the Quran is recited back to God.
Yeah.
So what we have so far is that the messenger establishes two points in the daytime where he recites the Quran in something called the Salah. And reciting the Quran is done by reciting to the people. That much is already clear. Furthermore, we can go to 7:203.
Wait. Before we go to 7:203, come back to 17:110. It says, "Wala tajhar bi salatika wala." So okay, yeah. So it says it comes back to the Prophet again, addressing him in the singular, right? Don't be too loud. So it's like sort of taking all the things from above this verse and putting them back into the salah. Okay.
There you go.
200.
7:203.
No, Islam ta'tim bi ayatin qur'an. Why have you not contrived it? Like, why have you? Okay.
And then read the next verse. Read it out loud so we can all hear it.
So when the Quran is recited, then listen to it and pay attention that you may receive mercy.
Would you?
And remember your Lord.
So when the Quran is recited, pay attention. Who's to pay attention? Us or God?
Yeah.
see
فَاسْتَمِعُوا
that?
لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ. And لَعَلَّكُمْ is plural. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, لَعَلَّكُمْ is plural.
Yeah, it's you in plural, considering the context.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, what's it called? The point is, when the Quran is recited, it is for us to take heed. You see what I'm saying? So the Quran is recited to people. It's not recited to Allah. And if you read, and the reason the Quran is recited to the people, again, is clarified in the next verse. What does it say?
So, and remember your Lord within yourself in humility and fear without being apparent in speech. Jahri min al-ghul.
Exactly. So that we may be conscious of it, basically, day and night. So there you go. And just for the final blow, a clear example of another messenger doing the same thing, 1184 to 1187.
This is Shuaib.
Yeah.
Oh,
Look
no,
at what
Allah did
Shu'aib
not.
does, and look at what they respond to him with. Read it, bro.
Yeah, they said, does your salah command you that we leave what our fathers worshipped, or we do with our wealth whatever we want? Indeed, you are the Halim al-Rashid.
And what was Shu'aib doing?
So he warned them to be fair in the balance and
so he was delivering the message.
Stop their corruption. Yeah, like it's an overall message. It's
so he was simply delivering the message, and him delivering the message, they called it salah.
Yeah, so if you like with us, we would read it as combine all of those verses. Yeah, that's how we would read it. We won't be like, okay, he asked them to pray. We will read the verses before and see that he actually gave a message, and then they called that the salah. So it can't be prayer, but then people don't read it like that.
Right. Can I add something there?
Yeah.
I have something that might give you a different viewpoint. Now, I was on the line of thinking Salat was like trying to form networks, like through communication, trying to form networks.
Mm-hmm.
And then recently, I was listening to some Edit Yüksel, and he was talking about Salah being synonymous to support as well. Now, after going through that just now, I was wondering whether when the prophets were giving the revelation from the book, would they not then after that have like some sort of conversation with people or talking to people in order to offer them support with their problems? So would he just read it out? Like another thing is, I thought like they would talk about what it meant to them as well, and how it's going to affect their life, like what's being said to them. So again, with that verse where you said about he's talking about the weights and measures and stuff. So if he's coming with a revelation and he's saying to them, we should find a way that we can use this to support our problems, and then they're saying like, all right, so should we just stop doing what we've been doing and figure out a different way of doing it?
Yeah.
So because the recitation of the Quran itself, I don't think it gives it justice. I think after that, like what we've just been doing, which is finding out what we can take from it that supports us in our lives in understanding things. I think that's could be what was encouraged, and it could be what was described as salat.
Yeah, but for them it was, but for them that's what it was. Yeah, like reciting, because it was in their language. So
yeah. So at the same time, if this happens between the creator and the malaikat and the messenger, then also we could see how there's some sort of a support network being described there.
I think it sort of changes meanings a little bit depending on the verse and the context.
Yeah, so basically what I was getting to is because I don't have a fixed understanding of salat, but the closest I've been able to get to, which is quite recently, is like a support network through communication. It doesn't necessarily have to be verbally either. It's any form of communication. So if we don't speak the right language and we're stuck somewhere, I can maybe empty my pockets and show you what I have, that maybe tools that we can use. That's still communicating, because I'm showing you things non-verbally to see if we can use these things to help us out of our situation.
Did you notice though that I didn't translate the word at all? Did you notice that?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I noticed that. Yeah. That's why I thought I can share.
Furthermore, not only did I not translate it, I didn't add anything. Did I add anything?
No.
Like the context make it like clear.
Do you know, like last week or the week before that, I went on Mufti Abu Layth's live stream, yeah, and I asked him about this verse in chapter 22, verse 40, where they translate salawat as synagogues. So I actually managed to ask him about that. So he pulled out Tabari's tafsir, and he went through it, because and I could see he didn't look, because like don't mistake me, like I love the guy, he's so good, he's so much better than all the other Sunni people out there.
Usuals,
Yeah, but he couldn't, because when he pulled out Tabri's tafsir, and he's like, oh, okay, this is what Tabri says about it being places of worship and masajid and churches, and it's sort of making a community for us in the verse. I'm like I didn't push him on it, but you could tell that it was
You
weird.
brought it up. You brought it up. Have you guys heard the news about Mufti Abu Layth?
Yeah, I saw the video.
It's all over Facebook.
Yeah, that's shocking.
Crazy, man. You guys are like, how do you live there in London, bro?
It's London for you, man.
fucking Mufti, fucking bring him out.
London's mad like that, bro. Hey, listen, before we go on for another couple more hours, I'm sure we're all tired. We got to bounce. So we're going to continue tomorrow.
Yeah, man. We need to.
Yeah. Actually, not tomorrow. Wednesday midnight. That's it. That's what we're going to do. Midnight Wednesday, peeps.
Right, okay.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, man. I enjoyed it.
Man, of course, man. Of course, man. But listen, the angle is we're still gonna go for atheists, and not just atheists. We're gonna go for, okay, you know what? We're gonna go for atheists and anybody else that has basically questions about the Quran. So the next topic is gonna be putting the Quran on the, you know what I'm saying, on the chopping board, if you like.
Yeah. All good, man.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
All right, brothers.
What's this guy talking about celebrating tomorrow?
What?
But yeah, we need to get Vegeta off that, you know, that Sunnism stuff, man. But anyway,
Peace out. All in our own time. We've all got our times.
Yeah, definitely. All right, lads. Have a good one, peeps. Peace out.
See ya, bro. Take it easy. Bye.